super maximum correctional facility. The convicted murderer and rapist is contesting his move to eBongweni Supermax in Kokstad, saying it's difficult to consult with his legal team ahead of his trial. He's facing charges related to his escape from the Mangaung Correctional Facility in 2022, where he was serving a life sentence. Demakatso Leshoro has more.
Bester has repeatedly raised concerns about the conditions of his incarceration since capture in Tanzania in 2023. Last week he suffered another blow after the Free State High Court dismissed his application to have access to a laptop, among other things, claiming this was infringing his right to a fair trial. He says conditions have only worsened following his transfer to the country's only super maximum security prison, eBongweni. This is his second bid to be brought back to Gauteng. Last month, the Pretoria High Court struck the matter off the roll after finding that his legal team did not afford correctional services sufficient time to respond to their papers. Bester's lawyers are expected to argue that consultation has become increasingly difficult with him kept at eBongweni and want him returned to Kgosimampuru or any facility in Gauteng. Demakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
The ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption resumes today in Parliament with evidence from Deputy National Commissioner for Police Tabo Bester. Musikili will be followed by another witness, Abel Mofoho, who will give evidence on the disbandment of specialized police units like the Political Killings Task Team and other systemic issues plaguing the police service. The appearances of the two witnesses follows forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan, who walked out while being questioned last week. Londenza reports.
Lieutenant General Tabo Bester and Abel Mofoho will be the latest witnesses to appear as the committee chases its March 31 deadline to complete its hearings. The appearance of the two witnesses will focus on police task teams as well as the alleged unlawful dismissal of staff. Evidence leader Norman Arnser said yesterday that Musikili has already submitted her written statement. He also explained the reason for her appearance.
You may recall that attendance was required because she served as the acting National Commissioner for a brief period when General Masemola was on leave, and the directive from Minister Mchunu was brought to her attention.
Acting Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection Hilda Sentumule was also meant to appear today, but had to be excused due to a family emergency. She will now appear on Friday after Paul O'Sullivan's appearance on Thursday. Baba Londanza, Eyewitness News.
And a drone attack on the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia has sparked what Saudi officials have described as a small fire. The strike is believed to have been carried out by Iran as it presses on with retaliatory attacks against U.S. and Israeli assets in the Gulf region. The growing war began on Saturday after joint U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran that Tehran said killed hundreds of civilians and the country's supreme leader. Iran's salvos have hit ports, airports, residential buildings and hotels, along with military sites across the wealthy Gulf region of oil giants. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has defended the decision to attack Iran. He's told Fox News that Israel and the US had to act based on claims that Iran has been building a nuclear weapon. Stefan Dujarric is the spokesperson for UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and he says the UN chief is calling for an immediate de-escalation.
What is needed now in the region more than anything is a way out. To that end, the Secretary General again calls for de-escalation, an immediate cessation of hostilities, and genuine dialogue and negotiations in line with the Charter of the United Nations.
Gold is trading at $5,365.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.11 to the dollar, 21.57 to the pound, 18.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $79.45 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North. This is between Vincent Magwenya Road and the Baklu interchange. There's also an accident reported between these 2 points right as you approach Marlborough Drive. While travelling on the N1 South towards Midrand, expect delays between the Brakfontein interchange and Olifantsfontein Road.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. One body has been pulled from the rubble of a collapsed building in Omonde this morning in the south of Johannesburg.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for joining us here on 702 on this, what date is it today? On this 3rd day of March. We really appreciate you being with us here on 702. I hope you're well this morning. The 702 open line starts now on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Are you elated at this idea that the Phala Phala report has now been declassified? Remember, IPID decided to classify this report as top secret. How bizarre. This is a decision that was taken a while back. And at the time, they said that they did that to protect the integrity of the investigation, the integrity of the witnesses and the SAPS members who might have been implicated. So to ensure that information obtained through IPID's investigation was not put out in public prior to, to the commencement of the criminal trial, IPID then decided this has to be classified. So now they've come out to say that after considering the initial reasons for the top secret classification and public interest, IPID came to a decision that classification is no longer serving the purpose. So they are saying they want to balance the individual rights with the public interest, right? And access to information. But still, the report will be accessible through proper legal processes. So you can apply through PIA, for instance, but there are some parts of the report that are redacted. I honestly do not understand why this report was classified to begin with. And maybe you can help me understand that. It's just always been bizarre to me. And that's why even when I had the Minister of Police at the time on the show, this is early last year, I asked him, why was the report classified to begin with? And this was the explanation he gave me. This is last year in around May. And please, I'd like you to tell me if this makes sense to you. Can we please get some clarity on that IPID report on Phala Phala that has been classified? There have been lots of questions and confusions about why the report has been classified. Why is it that that report was described as top secret? And do you know if it will be declassified at some point?
The report of the IPID on Phala Phala was classified simply because IPID was not the only body that was dealing with the matter. They were dealing with some aspects of Phala Phala. There were other bodies or other entities or other investigators that were busy dealing with other aspects, including aspects of a criminal nature. Now, whatever the report of IPID has inside, it has to be checked across, corroborated, and those that are involved, they need to be informed in a due process, in a properly measured process, so that you don't unduly disclose something when another body or another investigator is still dealing with some critical matters of a criminal nature. So it was actually a matter of trying to be as coordinated as possible on the side of IPID, which they reported to us was behind that report being classified. So once they have collated all the information and done everything that they need to do in terms of the due process, we believe that there would be no reason to keep the report as such.
So here's the challenge for me, and please give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note and tell me if you understand why IPID had taken this position. In fact, let's say the police have taken this position, because this was the police minister trying to justify why this was classified. And by the way, the current acting minister, Minister Kachalia, I think he realized that this just doesn't make sense. And he's the one that's been putting pressure on IPID because he also doesn't want pressure under him, because this just doesn't make sense. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think this report would be even declassified at this point, right? So why was it classified to begin with? You see why South Africans have believed there have been attempts to shield the president from accountability? It's actions like this. I mean, this is a critical information. This is a critical investigation with critical information which pertains to a matter of national interest. So why then is it top secret? And we already knew about some of the police officers who work for the president's security. We knew about what their actions were. I mean, that was already widely published in other investigations that were put out there as well. That's what we knew. So what exactly was going to be, shocking, for instance, when you are dealing with information like that I would argue was already publicly available? So let me know your thoughts, please, on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. I'm also interested in your thoughts about what's happening in Iran. Do you think, because the story is developing, so we're going to be talking a lot about it, but do you think that there's a post-war plan? It doesn't look like there is. It's almost like America is going with this bomb and hope strategy. So bomb your way through and hope that people are going to rise up against the regime in Iran. That has not particularly worked, because you don't have really thousands of people on the streets who are saying regime down. In fact, you've got other sections who've celebrated what America's intervention has been, but you've got other sections who've been mourning the assassination of the supreme leader. And you have other sections who don't necessarily agree with the administration in Iran, but equally so, they don't agree with how Israel and America has intervened militarily in that country, because they also look at the consequences before them. So what do you think is the post-war plan? Does it even exist? Like, what does a situation like this do to the psyche of young people in Iran? The same way I asked at the time about the post-war plan in Gaza. What do you think a situation like that does to the psyche of young people? Is there no risk here of making them so angry that they become so radicalized and they grow up with this spirit of resistance? Isn't that why you've got some of the militant organizations, particularly in the Middle East? Do you think you're not going to have a Hamas 2.0? If there are children who have grown up and all they've seen is seeing their parents being killed, their fellow friends who are as young as them being killed left, right, center. What do you think that does to the psyche of young people? The point I'm trying to make is this is a cycle that is then going to continue for as long as there's no proper plan. You can give us a call to share your thoughts. 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. At 10 o'clock, we're going to do the healing hour. Today, we're healing from emotional damage caused by the existence of a secret family. At 11 o'clock, we'll do our World of Work feature. We'll be discussing how to handle people taking credit for your work. And then at 11:30, we wrap up the show with the health and wellness feature. And today, we're discussing lymph nodes. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
All right, I want us to start the 702 open line with Professor Firoz Kachalia, who is the acting Minister of Police. I've asked him to come through just quickly to explain this decision now to declassify this report. Minister, thank you so much for making time for us at such short notice. I always appreciate you willing to engage with us. Good morning.
Good morning to you and your listeners.
Why has IPID now decided to declassify this report?
So, first I'd like to explain to your listeners who may not be familiar with IPID's mandate. IPID is a legally, constitutionally independent body. It makes its own decisions on the matters that it must investigate. Sometime last year, IPID informed me that they had classified this report. I do not recall all the reasons, but it was on the basis that they did not want to compromise an ongoing criminal investigation. My memory is correct. About a few weeks ago, they informed me, as they're required to do, because they also have reporting requirements to the minister, that they had declassified the report. So those decisions to classify and declassify are decisions made independently of the ministry. I hope that clarifies matters.
Okay, does that mean, Prof, if I can follow up there with a question, does that mean every single time that IPID investigates a case, they classify that report until the investigation is done so that they don't compromise the investigation?
No, that's a good question. No, it does not mean that. They provide classification, which of course I'm not entitled to second guess, a few months ago. So I don't recall the full explanation for the decision to classify, but I do recall that there was that one of the reasons, at least, was that it would compromise an ongoing criminal investigation, but they did explain the decision that they made at the time, which is about 6 months ago.
Yeah. I'm interested, Minister, because, and honestly speaking, it does not make sense, at least to me and many other South Africans, that every time IPID does an investigation, it doesn't take a similar approach. I don't remember IPID ever saying, and they've investigated other sensitive cases before. I don't remember them saying, we're going to classify this report because we're worried about the integrity of the witnesses. We don't want to compromise the investigation. And yet with the Phala report, that's exactly the approach that they have taken. Were you satisfied with the reasons that they gave you when they explained why they classified this report to begin with?
So let me just be clear that decision, I was informed of the decision as they were required to do, because they have reporting requirements to the ministry about 6 months ago. I recall the single reason, but they did provide an explanation. I think that is a matter of some interest, and
sorry, Minister, we lost you there. You said that's a matter of interest,
you could explore that matter with IPID and its spokesperson. The important point is also that they have now declassified the report, and there are obviously reasons that informed this decision. So those are matters that can be explored with IPID, because in principle that is the right avenue. This is an independent body, and they should be accountable for the decisions that they made.
Absolutely, and I've tried to get them on the show to explain what the rationale has been, and we're just struggling to get them to come on the show. That's why I appreciated you so much for coming through, and I am aware, Minister, I accept. IPID? Okay. Minister, I've just been told by the producers that IPID has now suddenly made themselves available. So I wanted to say that I am aware that also you're limited because you've only just been given these briefings and you were never there from the beginning when the decision was made. So let me thank you for coming through and explaining from what you have received from them. I really appreciate your time.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Professor Firoz Kachalia, the acting Minister of Police. You see, you can see there that he's not completely convinced. He says, oh, that's a good question. That's a matter of interest. That's something that can be explored with IPID. So let's get IPID on the line and hear how they are able to explain how this report was classified to begin with. And look, I'm not saying them declassifying it is not good news, but that's not where we should stop. If there are decisions that have been taken that we think are bizarre as South Africans, we need to be able to have the opportunity to get some clarity on them. So Lizzie Shuping is the spokesperson for IPID on Phalaphala. She was on 7:02 afternoon yesterday with John Perlman. They mostly focused on the declassification and what it means and what processes can be followed for people who want to get the report on their hands. But Lizzie, thank you so much for coming through. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to 702 listeners.
So you've already explored with my colleague John Perlman yesterday about the processes post this declassification, but I'm more interested in the reasons for the classification. Can you confirm this morning to our listeners if every single investigation you do as IPID, you classify it to avoid compromising the investigation?
No, we do not classify all the investigations that we do, but we have to look and assess the investigations that we do, and a determination will be made on whether to classify or not. But if I have to focus on Phalaphala, at the time when we concluded our investigation, there was still a DPCI investigation that was ongoing. And at the time, we did not want to prejudice the investigation because there were some common elements between our investigation and the DPCI investigation. And they informed us sometime last year that they had concluded the investigation, and that is the reason why we then felt that we should declassify the report. Okay.
The DPCI, is, if I remember correctly, it was a while back when they decided that they're not going to follow through with the charges. Like, in fact, the NPA ultimately decided so. So when exactly did the Hawks tell you that they are done with their investigation? Because that happened a while back.
No, it was sometime late last year, just that I don't have the date with me.
Late last year?
Yes, late last year. No, I'm sorry. The Hawks is the DPCI.
Yeah.
It was late last year that they told us that they now had concluded the investigation. And that is why we had to sit as IPID and review our decision on the classification of the report. And that is now because we felt that there's no prejudice anymore that would happen, then we have to declassify
Lizzie,
the report.
I've just checked my notes here because I thought maybe I was going crazy. Because I remember back in 2024, the Hawks confirming that the former security chief of President Cyril Ramaphosa, for instance, is not going to be prosecuted. So my understanding is that between 2024 and 2025, that's when the Hawks had actually ended their investigation. It didn't end late last year, which is why the NPA announced many months ago that there were not going to be any prosecutions in this matter. So if that announcement would have been made so long ago, why would the Hawks then come back to you only late last year to inform you about something they had already informed the public about quite a long time ago?
Clement, the Hawks were busy with the investigation, a criminal aspect of the investigation, and IPID was looking at the conduct of officers who handled the matter.
Yes.
So, yes, and because I'm saying there were common elements, we did not want to prejudice the
But to be clear, the common element was the police, right?
Yes, the common element is the police.
Because that's what you investigate.
Looking at the conduct. They are looking at the criminal aspect of the entire incident that happened at Palapala. So late last year, they did confirm to us in writing that they had now concluded the investigation, and that is the reason why then we felt that we should then reconsider declassifying our report.
So the common elements here is that you are investigating the SAPS members who were involved here, their conduct. The Hawks were also investigating. Part of their investigation are probably dabbled in that. Isn't that the commonality here?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
If that is the commonality, then why did the Hawks in June 2024 announce publicly that Wally Ruode, for instance, who is the person that I would imagine as IPID you are investigating, and they were also at some point investigating. Why would the Hawks in 2024 announce that this person is not going to face prosecution for the alleged cover-up of the Palapala robbery? And then this is back in 2024, and they only communicate to you in 2025 late that, we're actually done with their investigation, because it wouldn't make sense for the Hawks to announce this if they were not done with their investigation. I mean, why would you announce that someone is not going to be prosecuted if you're not done investigating them, or the entire case for that matter?
Clement, the Hawks were investigating the entire criminal part. And because some of the witnesses as well that we had, they needed information from them. Yes, in 2025, when they were still investigating, that is what I'm saying to you, late 2025, that's when we received information that they were now done with the report, because some of the witnesses that they needed in their case, they were also our witnesses. And that is the reason why we did not want to prejudice and share that information in public while their investigation was on.
But you didn't need to share any information in public when you investigate as IPID. Like, you can have your own, the same way that the Hawks will do its own investigation, and sometimes when we call them for a comment, they'll say, we can't talk on that because we don't compromise this investigation. But you don't see a thing being classified. I mean, that's quite an extreme measure. As IPID, you could easily ensure that you have got a watertight team that you tell not to leak any information to the public. In fact, any police officer who investigates a sensitive case knows that they're not supposed to do that. Going as far as classifying a report is quite an extreme measure.
Clement, like we've said, we did not want to prejudice the investigation.
How would it have been prejudiced?
Like I've said to you, Clement, now, there were some common elements, there were common witnesses, and all the information that they needed. Some of it, we had it on ourselves, they did not have it. So you need to allow them the space as well to do their work. And that is the reason why. But now, because they are done with the investigation, we felt that it was not necessary anymore to continue classify the report. And that is why it has now been finally declassified.
So the investigation is done now. Your investigation is done on the SAPS officers, like Wally Ruode, yes, who's one of them?
Yes.
Will you be telling the public what the outcome of that investigation has been and whether or not the actions of Wally Ruode were legal?
What we've done as IPID, we've sent through the recommendations to SAPS, who is the employer, asking them to institute disciplinary action against their members, because we felt that there was a case to answer. However, like any other investigation report, we do not share the report with the public. We just share certain aspects of the report. And anybody who wants access to that report will then have to go through our legal services or information officer to access the report.
Okay, so when did you send the recommendation to the SAPS that they must take disciplinary action against their members?
It was sent last year.
When last year?
The date evades me for now, but it was sent last year.
Okay, so it was sent immediately after the Hawks told you that...
No. after the conclusion of our own investigation.
Okay, and this is after the Hawks had told you that they've concluded their investigation, or before?
No, remember, we concluded our investigation before the Hawks finalized their investigation. And we then made those recommendations to SAPS as the employer to act.
Okay, so why then did you not declassify it as soon as you were done with your investigation? Because you didn't worry about now what the Hawks was doing, right?
Clement, we said we did not want to prejudice because our witnesses, some of the witnesses that they needed in their case, they were also our witnesses.
Hey, so Amara, you done with the investigation?
No, we needed to allow them the space.
Hey, but why are you thinking for the Hawks, Lizzie? You don't work for the Hawks. You think for IPID. If the Hawks but if the Hawks have no problem, with witnesses or anything like that, you are thinking for them. If you are done with the investigation,
we are not thinking for them. We're all in law enforcement. Obviously, when investigations happen here and there will be discussions because we've got the same type of witnesses.
So they supported your idea. The Hawks were okay. They supported it. They asked that actually that works for us. Thank you for classifying that report.
You don't want to, when somebody is busy with an investigation, Clement, you don't want to prejudice the investigation.
Okay.
And that is the reason why. And once they were done, they came back to us and said, we are finally done with our report.
Okay.
And then that was the reason why we...
So if I call the Hawks right now and I ask them, were you guys in support of IPID classifying the report because you were worried that if they did classify it before you are not done with your investigation, that would have compromised your investigation, then I will get a yes from them.
Clement, I'm saying to you, I don't speak for the Hawks, I speak for IPID.
How? You just said that the Hawks called you and said, hey...
Clement, can I finish?
Yes, please clarify.
IPID, and I'm saying to you because at times there will be those engagements between the two parties because we're all investigating one matter but looking at different aspects. And here and there will be common elements. You don't want to prejudice somebody's investigation while they are busy.
Yeah, but Lizzie, was the Hawks worried about that?
Element.
Was the Hawks worried about their investigation being prejudiced as a result of you declassifying the report? That's a yes or no.
Obviously, it will impact on their investigation.
Were they worried?
The reason why. Yes.
Did they express that to you?
It will impact on
Did they express that to you as IPID?
When we engage as stakeholders within law enforcement, we do talk, we engage, we even realize that some of the witnesses that they needed were our witnesses. So you allow them that space to do their work.
Okay, Lizzie, Shuping, I appreciate your time. Thank you for making time. I'm out of time now. That's the IPID spokesperson. I want to get the producers to call the Hawks here and find out if they ever, in a way, expressed or indicated directly or indirectly if this was a concern. Something is fishy here. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. So apologies for being late for the news. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The death toll has risen to 8 at a construction site in Omonde where a building collapsed. Johannesburg Emergency Services located 2 bodies from the rubble this morning. Crews have pulled out 1 body so far while drilling continues to retrieve the other one. The case of murdered e-hailing driver Isaac Sutherland returns to the Pretoria Magistrates Court this morning. 6 people have been implicated in the murder and robbery of Sutherland in his car last month. The matter was postponed last week following a confusion over court dates, which resulted in the absence of accused number 1. An Iranian-backed militia group Hezbollah says it has attacked 3 Israeli military sites in response to what it describes as a criminal Israeli aggression that targeted dozens of Lebanese cities and towns. Hezbollah says it hit the Nafar base in the Golan Heights with a large missile salvo, as well as the Menron and Ramat David air bases in northern Israel with drones this morning. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Travelling on the N3 North, we've got delays between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange. While travelling on the Mark 1 South, bumper-to-bumper traffic between Marlborough Drive all the way towards the College Drive exit. An accident has been reported in the Bramley area. That's the reason for that long backup. There's also queuing traffic along the Mark 1 North towards College Drive. While travelling on the N1 South, there's queuing traffic between the Brackfontein interchange and Olifantsfontein Road. There's also slow-moving traffic on the R21 North. This is in the Tembisa area as you approach approach Olifantsfontein Road. Roadworks are causing these delays, so please be on the lookout there and be patient. And do remember that it is bucketing outside. So if you are traveling on the roads, do remember to keep a safe following distance, drive with care, and avoid speeding. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Malikole Mahlati appeared in the Pretoria Commercial Crimes Court yesterday, charged with fraud and theft. It is a disturbing story, isn't it?
Very disturbing and quite disappointed that, officials at this level are still implicated in corruption when there's been so much conversation around corruption. One of the things you'll notice about this case is that there was a procurement process in place. They are alleged to have deviated from that process.
Asipia Funda is the health attorney at Section 27.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Mzansi, Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March with a big 102 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for an estimated 68 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 34 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Push-Up Play, and players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Did you know that you have the power to ensure your daughter is fully protected from cervical cancer when she grows up? Yes, protecting a daughter from cervical cancer is absolutely possible. And all that you need to do is ensure that your daughter gets the HPV vaccine at the age of 9. The HPV vaccine gives your daughter the best possible protection against cervical cancer and can prevent her from becoming part of the statistics. This message is brought to you by the Department of Health.
Do you believe every child deserves a chance at a brighter future? Gift a Child Children's Home does too, and they need your help. Your support can make a huge difference in the lives of these kids. Whether it's a small donation or some of your time, every bit counts. WhatsApp 065-884-6699 and find out how you can lend a hand. Gift a Child Children's Home, because every child deserves love and hope.
In 2021, South African Airways' new journey started. And the journey has brought us here. Over 15 aircraft added to our fleet, thousands of new flights scheduled every year, and 19 routes on our map to connect you to more of the world. We're proud of how far we've come, but we're not finished yet. We're still raising our standards in the air and on the ground. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Oil prices, gold prices up significantly since the start of the US and Israeli bombing campaign on Iran. Markets, in a way, reacting as you would expect.
One of the big unknowns is whether this escalates further, how long it lasts. So there is an element of risk premium being built in as well. So traditionally, some of the more volatile parts of markets have been hit a bit harder than others.
John Stopford is the head of multi-asset income at 91.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking. Refined performance is a measure of discipline. That's how we are invested in your story, and why ABSA returned as a proud diamond sponsor for this year's Hedge News Africa Symposium and Awards Ceremony. ABSA is a registered FSP. T's and C's apply.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's go to your calls now on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702.
Hi, morning, Clement and team. I'm Apari here from Rodiport. Regarding the Palapala issue is about scratching your back. I scratch your back and you scratch mine. That's why I believe Senzo hasn't been fired. It's just remaining on suspended with pay till now. So the whole issue doesn't make sense, but it's just a matter of scratching my back and I scratch your back. So now people's backs are hurting now. They're trying to move and then now they can't move anymore. It's about to hit the fan now.
Good morning, Clement. Wasn't it last week we spoke about
the Corn Court and how they've been shady about the judgment and the delay of that Phala judgment. I just think that whole Phala saga has just the way it's been managed, the way it's been dealt with by relevant agencies. I mean, even the report by Koleka Tlayeka, I still believe that was how she secured the permanent position of the public protector. And it's just there's something that is not right about that Phala report, and I hope they're able to make it public. And with Israel, I just think it's a shame how Israel is just dragging America into unplanned war. Prince in Bedford View.
Morning, Clem. I think it was disqualified because of I heard that Action SA have already taken a legal action. So I think the minister looked at it and said, "Now we are going to lose this. So let's just declassify this report once and for all. Let them apply through the PIA Act." As I've heard, I think Michael Bott yesterday saying they've already done that. They are just waiting for the minister to the minister to come back to them to give them the report. So I think it was the action that was coming. That's why they declassified this information. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe that is the case. But I would have loved for it to get to court because I would have loved to hear what the explanations from IPID would have been. And it's possible that IPID decided to declassify because, they saw what was coming. Remember, it's like with what happened with the budget speech. Remember last year in Feb when it was postponed and the GNU couldn't agree. And what happened? Was it the EFF? And which other parties? The DA and the EFF? Or was it one of them that went to court? And then suddenly, then you've got the minister who then they agree. There's an out-of-court settlement because the judgment on that would have been so scathing for Treasury. Now, there are a few things, there's just a few discrepancies here. And all I'm trying to do is to figure out what is going on because I do feel like something is just weird here. The way that, first of all, I played you the clip of the Minister Senzo Mchunu, where he explains, we didn't want to compromise the investigation. Okay, cool. That's still bizarre because do you know how many times IPID has done interviews concurrently with the Hawks? Or just even normal divisions of the SAPS? There are, in fact, on all the cases that IPID takes up, there's likely to be an investigation already in the SAPS or in the Hawks. Why? Because what IPID investigates are actually the conduct of police officers. IPID doesn't investigate a burglary or they just investigate whether the officers who were on duty followed the law. Did they do anything illegal? Now, IPID is confirming to us that last year they sent an email to the SAPS to say you have to take action against these SAPS members, which would include, I would imagine, Wally Ruode, who was the head of security for President Cyril Ramaphosa. The challenge I have is IPID says, no, we don't classify every single report that we work on. And yet, there are no special circumstances in this case that are widely different to what IPID normally deals with. As I say, there are normally cases that the Hawks will investigate or normal divisions within the other divisions within the SAPS. They will investigate cases, but those cases may involve police officers. That aspect can also be sent to IPID as an independent institution to continue with that investigation. So why is it that in this case, then the report gets classified? Because if IPID has classified other reports before, because they're investigating police officers, and the Hawks was also investigating, or other divisions in the SAPS, they were both investigating sort of the same case, that they didn't want to prejudice on each other's investigation, then IPID would have mentioned to us that we've classified the report before because we were faced with similar circumstances. And I'm just finding it difficult to figure out why there were extraordinary special circumstances here. And then I interviewed the acting police minister And I'm asking him, were you satisfied with the reason IPID gave you? And he can't really say yes or no. In fact, he says, you get IPID. They must be held accountable. They must be asked the questions. Why would the police minister not tell you whether or not they support an organization that reports to him? Because if he was convinced, the same way that Senzo Mchunu was convinced of the reason for the classification, which is why he was able to explain it, the acting minister now is unable to, and that tells you that something is fishy here. He probably was not happy with that explanation. All I'm saying is something seems to be weird here, and I don't know what it is, but we're going to get to the Hawks and ask them if they've ever expressed any concern to IPID about the possibility of their investigation being compromised should IPID declassify the report. On the WhatsApp line, Anonymous says, hi, Clement, the spokesperson from IPID is not making sense. How can you decide not to prosecute someone and then conclude with the investigation? How do you come to the conclusion to not prosecute unless you have concluded the entire investigation? Well, her explanation is that, in fact, there were witnesses that the Hawks was dealing with, and there were witnesses that they were also dealing with, and they didn't want to prejudice any of the investigation. It's still not making sense to me, but I'm sure it is to some of you. So let's listen to some of what you've had to say on the WhatsApp line on 072 702 1702.
Morning, Clement. In all honesty, I understand what the lady's saying, and I think it makes complete sense. They need to allow each arm of the law to do their work without any hindrance from other investigations. If they come up with the same thing, they come up with the same thing. But yeah, I really honestly understand where she's coming from. It's like when you take an exam, you don't share your paper with other students before they are done. So yeah, I think it's that simple, and I completely understand where she's coming from.
No, but the problem here is nobody said IPID must go and share the report anyway when there are people that are still investigating. Nobody said that. Do you understand that police officers who work for IPID are forced to keep their investigations private? They don't go around talking about it in the media. And even if I called IPID and I said, tell us what's happening with that report, they could just say, like they've said before, no comment. The matter is still being investigated. We don't want to compromise the investigation. That's all you need to do. Taking an additional measure of classifying a report is quite extreme. And which is why it's got to concern you and I, because next time it's going to be another politician who has appointed someone at IPID who is sympathetic towards them and they're trying to protect them and they just easily classify reports. We cannot operate in an environment like that. 10 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Part of the 702 family.
Hello, my name is Atta Sibeta, and I'm from 702 land, staying in Centurion. And what 702 actually brings for me is what other radio stations don't give me. A lot of knowledge, great information, and a lot of happy moments. Thank you very much. Enjoy listening to 702 Land.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Whether you love watching great films or dream of making them, the Joburg Film Festival, in partnership with MultiChoice Group, a Canal Plus company, from the 3rd to the 8th of March has something for you. Experience powerful local and international cinema on the big screen and tap into the JBX Talks, where the people shaping film unpack the craft, the business, and the future of storytelling. It's more than a festival. It's a front row seat to the film world. Book your tickets now at joburgfilmfestival.co.za.
You wouldn't settle for burnt toast just because it's still bread. So why settle for less when it comes to car insurance? Outsurance client 30-year-old Dinewo knows all about getting more out.
I'm saving 1,094 rands.
That's an unbelievable 1,094 rand saving every month on her 2025 Kia Sonet. Get a quote today and see how much Outsurance could save you. SMS cover to 30995. That's cover to 30995. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Bar Black Sheep. Have you any wool? Yes, sir. More than 3 bags full. We think beyond today, tomorrow, more. Look up, look far ahead. We may choose to leave the herd. There's greener grass where fewer care to tread. Bar Black Sheep. Proof of what we do. Better for clients for over 20 years. Courage, we hold the course for you. Bar Black Sheep. If you want more wool, it takes black sheep thinking. Camissa Asset Management. Invest different. Camissa Asset Management is a licensed FSP.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one, get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Spect, and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
All right, it's 8 minutes now before 10 o'clock. This conversation on 702 is brought to you by Capitec. Slam the scam with Capitec. In fact, it's a conversation we've been bringing to you over the last couple of weeks because it just underscores how crazy the scammers have been, and we want you to be extra careful out there. Scammers have exploited a predictable human behavior for actually centuries. Trust, fear, urgency, and hope, but unlike in the past, their digital era now enables them to do so faster, more sophisticatedly, and at scale. What was once, it required face-to-face persuasion can now happen anonymously, instantly, and with precise targeting, thanks to social manipulation, data breaches, and modern communication channels. So as technology evolves, scammers actually adapt their tactics, combining centuries-old emotional manipulation with new digital tools to deceive them, to deceive even the most vigilant people. But Capitec is stepping in to help. So today we joined once again by Nick Harris, who is the head of financial crime at Capitec, and Jean Rousseau, who is the head of CSI and financial education at Capitec, to chat about how you can stay safe here on 702. Nick and Jean, once again, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning. And I'll start.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for coming back. Nick, which human behaviors do scammers usually exploit?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I think, scammers really succeed because they exploit, like you said, predictable human behavior. And generally, it's not because people are careless or uneducated, but, every scam is tailored around very specific emotional triggers. So the first one really, and this is the most important one, is the sense of urgency. So when you feel rushed, right, you stop thinking critically and you go into that survival reptilian brain. The second one is this fear of loss and loss aversion, and people react faster to the possibility of losing something than the chance of gaining something. There's also authority bias, so people automatically trust someone if they sound like they're in charge or in a position of authority or acting in an official capacity, like a lot of the SAPS impersonation scams. Scarcity and competition are especially exploited in so-called online market scams, so that fear or FOMO of missing out. Convenience and habit, we're used to receiving, for example, messages from courier services saying our parcel is ready for delivery. So why shouldn't we click on that link when it comes into our mailbox, right? This hope for financial improvement, rewards, and social proof, guaranteed returns, fake testimonials, and photos of, everybody else succeeding on TikTok. Surely this investment is for me. Helplessness and empathy, sometimes people are really good at in being inherently good and reciprocal by nature. So scammers look at this. They pretend to you a friend or family on WhatsApp and pretend to be your new best friend on social media. And then there's this excitement and impulsive behavior that they like as well. So people react quickly when they think they've won something. And these are really emotional shortcuts built into all of us. And scammers know exactly how to activate them.
Yeah. So, Jean, given these behaviors, it sounds, as if anyone can become a victim. Why does psychological manipulation make even digitally and financially experienced people so vulnerable?
Yeah, I think we just heard that scammers do not target your intelligence, they target your emotions. So all people experience fear, urgency, trust, or excitement. And when these emotions are triggered, your brain switches to fast, instinctive decision making. So scammers then also strike when you are distracted, busy with work or your children, school runs, late night messages. Timing is then part of that psychology. So we see clear patterns. People fall for investment scams because ambition and confidence bias make opportunities look legitimate. Young adults fall for online marketplace scams because scarcity and competition feel normal in these digital spaces. Parents fall for courier scams because convenience matters to them. Parcels must be delivered. Older people fall for authority-based impersonation scams because institutional trust is strong among older people. And then all these examples show that victims respond to emotion, pressure, and timing.
Yeah. Can you explain, Nick, how different types of scams use these human behaviors so that our listeners can recognize the patterns?
Yeah, so absolutely. So the better you can understand these triggers, the more likely you're going to recognize it. So it's so important to understand the psychology behind it. So really online marketplace and scams that use the scarcity and competition. And basically they're just going to trigger you to say, well, there's a lot of people waiting for it. You need to pay this now to get this, secure this PlayStation for $100, for example. Bank impersonations, authority and fear. That creates a sense of urgency. They pretend to be from the bank's fraud department or SAPS. And this fear of losing really lowers your guard and gets you to really start playing along with the scam, unfortunately. Curious scams, that's convenience and habit. So it feels comfortable, it feels normal to click that link. You always get it from Buffalo, whoever's sending you the latest Timo Machine parcel. Investment scams, they exploit multiple desires. Greed is one of those, right? And often they'll use social community WhatsApp groups. You're going to see photos of, confirmations of payments. People looking like they're making money and getting rich through this thing. Upfront scams, that's reward and people's helplessness. You're supposed to be approved for a loan, for example. You need that credit line, and then suddenly you're paying $1,000 into a scammer's pockets. And then lastly, really these prize and competition scams, that excitement and the impulsive behavior, you've won a claim now, click here. And then unfortunately, you're suddenly providing your credit card details to somebody who's sitting offshore.
Yeah. Jin, what practical steps can our listeners take to protect themselves?
So the best protection is to take a moment because scammers rely on speed and emotion. A pause gives you your logical brain time to engage. So we can look at a few golden rules that anyone can apply. The first one, take a pause when you feel pressure. Urgent or threatening messages are very often scams. And when you pause, the types of scams that it can help with include payment requests. So fake notifications, including SARS demands, for example, courier or delivery fees, as Nick just pointed out, investment scams, where words like last chance or limited spaces build pressure, and romance scams, where a new friend on social media quickly can escalate to emergency money requests. Then verify independently is the second one. Always confirm the request using contact details you already trust, not links, not numbers in messages or contacts provided in a message, not even through caller ID apps. Scam types, this can help counter, includes impersonation scams, where banks, government, or employers and even schools can be impersonated. And also, of course, one that's also trending is business email compromises. So you get a email with an invoice for payment and the payment details have been adjusted. A third one is treat requests for secrecy as a red flag. If you're asked to keep it confidential or tell no one or handle it discreetly, stop immediately. And this works specifically for scams like romance scams, investment scams, family and distress scams, or then even CEO impersonation, which we also see. Question scarcity, especially online. If a seller who says many buyers are waiting or there's only one left, you should clearly see that as a red flag. And then finally, accept that guaranteed investment returns are fake. If an investment promises fast, guaranteed, or risk-free returns, do not invest. Take your time to ask critical questions. And this works because there's no legitimate investment without risk. Guaranteed returns usually mean the risk is hidden or that your money is being used to pay others. So in summary, if you pause, verify independently and trust your instincts, you make it very difficult for scammers to manipulate you. And I think one last thing to mention, just for pensioners and older individuals, have that one trusted family member that you can contact when you feel pressurized or someone is asking you to do something urgently. Take that moment, pause, hang up the phone and contact your family member and discuss that. Do not act instinctively and urgently.
Yes, please. Nick Harris and Jean Rousseau from Capitec, thank you so much for joining us and for providing these valuable tools to protect our listeners from getting exploited. It's 10 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The death toll has risen to 8 at a construction site in Omonde where a building collapsed. Johannesburg Emergency Services located 2 bodies from the rubble this morning. Crews have pulled out 1 body so far, while drilling continues to retrieve the other one. A concrete slab forming part of the second floor deck caved in yesterday, trapping workers beneath the rubble for hours. Search operations continue for a third person. Mayor Tabo Bester has confirmed that plans for the structure were not approved.
Development planning, that there were no plans submitted for the structure. Hence, we are also still battling to trace and track the owners of the building. But we do know that the building belongs to a company. We are now still trying to trace. We know that the developers or the constructor was still on site even yesterday.
The case of murdered e-hailing driver Isaac Satlat returns to the Pretoria Magistrates Court today. 6 people have been implicated in the murder and robbery of Satlat in his car last month. The matter was last week postponed following a confusion over court dates, which resulted in the absence of accused number 1. Dimakatso Leshuro reports.
Accused number 1, Dikeledi Mpela, who is being held at the Atteridgeville prison, was absent after confusion about when the matter was due to return to court. At the last appearance, the 6 accused, 4 men and 2 women, were held at different correctional facilities from the Moat prison cells in Pretoria to Hosi Mampuru and Atteridgeville prisons. They are facing charges of premeditated murder and robbery with aggravating circumstances for killing 22-year-old Satlat. 3 of the accused have abandoned bail, and it's unclear if any of the last 3 will bring a bail application today. Dimakatso Leshuro, Eyewitness News.
Chairperson of Parliament's Appropriations Committee, Musi Maimane, says he does not support the City of Cape Town's plan to spend millions of rand to build a safety wall along the N2. He says the plan represents a failure to deal adequately with crime and would be a symbol of the past. Speaking at a cluster briefing in Parliament yesterday, chairpersons of the Finance Committee said they will be paying particular attention to the expenditure of municipalities this year as National Treasury plans to tighten the grip on grants to poor performing municipalities. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
In a local government election year, how municipalities spend their money and how they deliver on services will be keenly watched. Appropriations Chairperson Musi Maimane says he's vehemently opposed to a controversial plan by the City of Cape Town to cordon off the N2 as a crime prevention measure.
I think it entrenches apartheid spatial networking. I really do. I certainly think that it is a poor way of answering the question, who can go inside the community and who can go outside the community.
However, Maimane does agree with his former political home, the DA, which has for years been pushing for the devolution of policing powers for its metro cops as an alternative to building barriers and deploying the army to deal with crime.
We must add them to the SAPs, increase intelligence and make sure they're available in townships so that we amend the law as to what a metro police can do so that you give them powers for investigatory powers.
Maimane says money to build a wall could be better spent on capacitating crime-fighting efforts. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And Iranian-backed militia group Hezbollah says it has attacked 3 Israeli military sites in response to what it describes as a criminal Israeli aggression that targeted dozens of Lebanese cities and towns. Hezbollah says it hit the Nafar base in the Golan Heights with a large missile salvo, as well as the Meron and Ramat David air bases in northern Israel with drones. The Israeli military says it has deployed troops to several locations in southern Lebanon in what it describes as a forward defense measure. Hezbollah is an Iranian ally which has joined in retaliatory strikes after the U.S. and Israel attacked Tehran in a war they claim is about destroying its nuclear capabilities and inciting Iranians to topple the government. Stefan Dujarric is the spokesperson for the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and he says the UN chief is calling for an immediate de-escalation.
What is needed now in the region more than anything is a way out. To that end, the Secretary General again calls for de-escalation, an immediate cessation of hostilities, and genuine dialogue and negotiations in line with the Charter of the United Nations.
Gold is trading at $5,365.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.11 to the dollar, 21.57 to the pound, 18.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $79.45 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays on the M1 South. This is between the Baklu interchange and Corlett Drive. That's due to a major accident that's been reported along this route. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 North. This is just as you head towards the Baklu turnoff in the Sunning Hill area. That's due to roadworks along this route. And do remember that wet weather conditions are upon us this morning. So please do try to keep your headlights on, avoid speeding, and drive with care.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. Johannesburg will peak at a high of 25 degrees and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the death toll has risen to 8 at a construction site in Omonde in the south of Johannesburg where a building collapsed.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Ten minutes after 10 o'clock, Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702, and thank you for your contribution on the 702 open line, albeit like few contributions we were able to take today, and I apologize for that. But sometimes there are these breaking news, and we want to try and make sense of them, so we always want to bring in people who can just enlighten us some more. So when I texted the Minister of Police and he was available to quickly come, I thought, let's bring him on. And as you have heard, he is not, I don't think, and this is my view, I could be wrong, I don't think he's completely convinced of the explanations IPID has given him for the reasons this report was classified in the first place. And when we spoke to IPID, because IPID then, suddenly became available for us. So when I brought them on the radio, they explained why they classified the report and why it's now been declassified. One of the things that confused me, and we're going to keep a close eye on this, I think what we'll try maybe do tomorrow is bring in the Hawks if they respond to us during the day, even if they give us a statement. But one of the important things for me is IPID investigates the conduct of officers. The Hawks can investigate anything, but the IPID spokesperson says we had commonalities with the Hawks, which I would imagine, okay, that means it's in as far as the conduct of the officers are concerned, because IPID can be investigated the burglary at Palapala. But the Hawks finished their investigation back in 2024. There was a whole briefing, in fact, where they announced that, Wally Ruode is not going to be prosecuted. Our investigation is done here and we're not going to prosecute Wally Ruode. I remember we spoke about it on the open line. We even said, oh my God, who's going to be held accountable on Palapala? So how does the Hawks finish an investigation on the commonality with the Hawks, which is the conduct of SAPS officers? They finish it in 2024, but they only send an email to IPID in late 2025 to say, we have finished our report. You can declassify your report on Palapala. It doesn't make sense to me. And that's why I want to ask the Hawks now, did you run the risk of your criminal investigation, even your burglary criminal investigation, being compromised with the Hawks declassifying their report? And to be clear, declassifying a report doesn't mean you go out and you start talking about it. No. There are many reports that, for instance, are not classified, but they're almost finalized or an investigation is still underway. Like the public protector, when she investigates, and that's an independent institution, she doesn't classify her reports until, no, she's investigating, but nobody can talk about that investigation until this is done. So that's an extreme measure that gets taken. And if that's a measure that can be exploited and taken to protect politicians, that must concern you and I. And we must be able to ask these questions. And that's why we took a bit of time on the open line today to speak to IPID and the police minister. And hopefully I can bring you the Hawks tomorrow on the show. But one of the questions I was asking you, in fact, today on the 702 open line was about the post-war plan. And I think we can return to this conversation maybe tomorrow on the 702 open line about what the post-war plan is in the Middle East. This is a story that keeps developing. The U.S. has promised to go hard on Iran. They still haven't. They said there are heavy blows that are coming. So who knows? Maybe tomorrow it's definitely going to be something different. I just think let's keep in our prayers the innocent civilians in that country, because they are the ones that end up paying the heaviest price. It's 14 minutes now after 10 o'clock and time for our Healing Hour.
702
Healing Hour.
So we are tackling quite a complicated subject this morning on our Healing Hour, and I hope you can indulge us. And I'm going to take some time to try and explain it because this is in fact something that has come to us through a listener who has suggested that we heal from this. And I would like to appreciate you as well for always sending us messages and giving us feedback. You know, everywhere I go, a lot of people who give me feedback about the show always mention the Healing Hour because that's how they've been impacted by the feature. And we are just glad as the team that we're able to create a platform like that where we can just be vulnerable with each other, that we can talk about things that have pained us. We can talk about things that we are still healing from. And I really appreciate the space that we've created amongst each other. So if this is your first time on the Healing Hour is an opportunity for you and I to just have a conversation. No guest, just us. And we talk about different things. We heal from different things. And we have been healing over the last 5 years from different things. And I've asked you before that you must also come in and send us your suggestions on what you would like us to heal from. And as I always say to you, please always remember that this is a safe space. This is a safe space to share our pain, our stories of survival, our experiences as friends, as a family, as a community, with no judgment. And today, we are healing from secret families and the pain and confusion that comes with that. The existence of a secret family. There are some of us who have grown up in families that were secret and we didn't even know about it until at a later stage, where you knew that your father, and I'll use the father example because that's often how it works in society. It's mostly fathers who will have two families. So you know that your father works in Johannesburg or works in the Northwest, works in the mines or wherever. And they tend to come home maybe every second month or after 6 months. There are some fathers who often go home at the end of the year, or they go twice a year. And they'll bring up all sorts of justifications for that. And that's because that father has another family wherever they stay and work. I have seen this even in certain situations within our relatives. I have witnessed it, and I know there are some of you that have witnessed it. And the reason someone sent us an email and said, talk about this, let's heal from it, is because this is something that's often experienced. Where you find out later as a family that, oh, Khane Papa has kids outside, and there was a woman. They're kids that were born while this marriage has been continuing, and we've been stuck in the village, or we've been stuck in a different part of town. And you realize much later. Sometimes you realize when they are no longer alive. That is a reality that some families are facing out there. And maybe your family has gone through that. I would like you to share what the experience has been like. How do you heal from something like that? Have you been able to form relations with the other family that you have not known? Because I would imagine there's a sense of betrayal. And then there's another part of secrecy that also exists, where a man will have a family in one area. Often they will go and work in another area, and they will find someone they live with there. And that person, to them, thinks, this is it. This is my family. But the man keeps on disappearing every second month and tells this woman that, oh, I'm actually going back to see my parents, to visit at home my parents. But that's someone who's going home to his wife and children. And you don't even know about that as the person who's partnered with him. That is a reality for a lot of people out there. And I would like us to heal from that. You can give us a call right now on 011-883-0702 if you'd like to share your experiences with us. You can send a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702. I know some of you prefer to send us a WhatsApp voice note, so you can do an email as well, so you can do so on cm@702.co.za if that's how you want to share your story with us. Have you been affected by the existence of a secret family? A secret family is when a person, often a man, maintains these two separate lives, hiding the existence of one household from the other for years or even decades. And whether you were the family being kept a secret or the family that the secret was being kept from, the reality is the discovery of this dual life can really just shatter the very foundation of what we believe our families to be. And this brings up mistrust. It brings up deep-seated betrayal. It can also lead to a reality crisis where you begin to question every memory and every moment of life that you thought you knew. And for the children involved on either side, the impact is so devastating. Can you imagine finding out that you have got siblings that you never knew, that your parent lived with while they were also living with you? Like basically your parent lived a double life. And that can lead to a lot of loss of faith in the stability of the family. you can even carry this trauma into adulthood, making it difficult to trust partners in relationship. So how have you navigated the journey to healing after such a massive revelation? And if you were the hidden family, how did you reclaim your sense of worth? I mean, if you were the family being lied to, how did you even begin to trust again? I want us to have this conversation because I truly believe that by acknowledging the true magnitude of this impact, we can begin to foster empathy, break the cycle of shame, and work towards reclaiming our personal truths, because it's often shame that takes us away from dealing with these situations and healing from them. Let's start the conversation. 011 883 0702, WhatsApps 072 702 1702.
702.
Healing Hour.
Marty, let's start with your call. You're in Pretoria. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement and the listeners. There are two other types of secret families. The first is when a child is adopted, but the parents and the family themselves need to stay absolutely quiet about that. And then when the child is in adulthood, it's quite a shock for that person. So, and then there's also another type is where the girl falls pregnant at a young age. And she needs to be sent away, the baby needs to be adopted, and then she needs to live with this forever, and probably the young man that conceived the child also knows there's a child, and often they do not reveal that to their newer partners in life. So I think that's also two cases, and I can imagine very difficult for the people affected by that.
Yeah, it really, I can only imagine, Marty. Thank you for your call in Pretoria. Kamo, you are in Johannesburg. Good morning.
Morning, Clement and your guest in South Africa. Clement, I had the fortunate experience after university working in the mining space for just over 10 years. And this was something quite prevalent I was mostly based in the mines in the Northern Cape.
Yeah.
This was quite prevalent that people would come to, because mines are always in remote areas, and they would have girlfriends and partners, and kids would be conceived, whether planned or unplanned. I mean, I had two friends, for instance, who impregnated women that side. And I had to vehemently tell them that you can't hide children, because they wanted to take it to the extent of, no, I can't tell my wife, I can't tell my... I said, but you cannot, you cannot hide a human being. That is impossible. Even in my family, there's an uncle of mine who used to work in the mines. He's got two families. It's an open secret that is known, but we cannot openly speak about it.
Yeah.
And this thing is shameful. It's a very shameful thing that people go out there, more than just having the kids. Are people not afraid of infecting their partners with HIV and all these things that are still a problem today?
Mm.
And with this new law now that has come in, where siblings can now start, I think you saw it's trending, where siblings can take each other to court now for maintenance. This thing is going to turn ugly, because people are going to meet in court where I say, no, but this is my brother, my father, what, and then now children are going to be saying, you must support me, I know your family has money.
Yeah.
Not around anymore.
Yeah, and what happens when the man dies? Like, you, as the person that the man has lived with for 10 years while he's in the mines, to use Kamu's example, you probably thinking, this is my person, I'm going to bury them. The next thing you realize is, oh, this person was actually married, has kids in the Eastern Cape, in Limpopo, in Mpumalanga, wherever they come from. And that's the person who legitimately can bury that man legally. And then you get to a point where you're not even invited. I mean, not invited, but you're not allowed to come to the funeral. It can really get complicated. And what I'm saying is, it often shocks people when there's a death, because that's when it comes out. But I have seen a case. I've seen a case where a man, and these are people I know, a man is married to this person, to this woman. This man then starts to work in a different province and finds the other woman, lives with this other woman, has kids with this other woman, but often goes back home to this woman. After 10 years of this relationship, or 15 years, what happens is the new woman then finds out that there is, in fact, the first woman. But the new woman then tells this man that you can no longer be with the first woman. But this man doesn't want to divorce the first woman. So it gets awkward now, because what do you do when there are events in the family? Does your new family and your old family come in one space? And what do you do as the family? Do you accept the new person as part of your family? Because that's the person that your uncle or your brother has children with, and they live with him. Do you accept this person? And what about the first wife? And this is not even about, oh, this is polygamy. No, it is not. It's just a man who went and found someone else and started having kids with them. And eventually, this case I'm talking about, this man eventually got married to the second woman, while he's still legally, customarily married to the first woman. What do you do? Do you expect the kids of this man and this woman to have relations with each other when this is an unspoken thing within the family? It really can get tricky. And I really want to find out how you've navigated that as a family. Is it something you realized? Was it something that was exposed to you guys when there was a death? How did you navigate it? Tapelo, you're calling us from Mafikeng. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. So mine is on a similar path, right? I grew up thinking I'm the only child, man. Like, you know? Only to find out when I got to matric, my dad sat me down and it's like, hey, champ, you actually have a younger brother who is now in grade 9. And I just thought to myself, whoa. Only to find that the aunt, which is my father's sister, knew all along. I mean, this kid would be taken by Chaka, by Kohai, back home. And my father was this type of person who every weekend would insist, no, I'm going to the farm. I'm taking care of our family's interest every single weekend. He's not around. And we came to accept that, only to find that this is happening. So the guy is trying to build a relationship with me, but deep down, I can't. I really can't accommodate it because I'm the only child. And that's how I was raised. So it's been very difficult, that betrayal, and also finding out that even other family members knew and my mother didn't know. And ultimately, my father divorced my mom in a cold way. I mean, I came from university one day and I was told, hey, you now live in a shack. What? From the suburbs to a shack? What's going on? So yeah, that's how it went. Thanks so much.
Tapelo, how did your mom deal with it when she found out there's another child?
Very devastated. And her friends used to tell her, hey, we saw your guy, XYZ, back in the village. There's this lady. Do you know about this lady? She would deny it. She would really deny it, because anybody with a sensible mind would want to reject such atrocity, if I may put it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it hasn't been easy.
Sure.
But life has moved on since then.
Tapelo, thank you so much, man, for sharing your experience with us. I really appreciate it. Calling us all the way from Mafikeng. Can you imagine? Your husband, you find out your husband you've been living with, that you have a child with, has a younger child. And the family of the husband has always known. That's another level of betrayal. You are the in-law in this family. They've shown appreciation to you. They've accepted you. And here they are, keeping a secret like that from you. That their own child, their own brother, has actually fathered another child and is living with another woman. You don't even know anything about that. How do you survive that? It's 10:30. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The city of Johannesburg says a collapsed building where 8 people died in Omonde will be demolished in the south of Johannesburg. Parts of the second floor deck of the structure caved in yesterday, trapping construction workers beneath the rubble. Emergency crews are searching for a third person at the site who remains unaccounted for. The ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption is resuming today with evidence from Deputy National Commissioner for Policing, Tibelo Musikidi. Musikidi will be followed by another witness, Abel Mofoho, who will give evidence on the disbandment of specialized police units like the Political Killings Task Team and other systemic issues plaguing the police service. And Tabo Bester's legal team will bring another urgent application to the Pretoria High Court this morning to have him moved from the country's only super maximum correctional facility. The convicted murderer and rapist is contesting his move to a Bongweni Supermax in Kokstad, saying it's difficult to consult with his legal team ahead of his trial. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Travelling on the N3 South, we've got delays between Modderfontein Road and the Baklu interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N12 West. This is between Edenville Road and the Gilulis turn off while heading towards Melrose. Do expect delays on the M1 South between the Baklu interchange and Corlett Drive. There's also queuing traffic along the M1 South now. This is as you head towards the Harton Kilani Bends. Also due to another accident seen there, so please be on the lookout and keep driving with care. If you're travelling in Hyde Park, we've got an accident reported. It's along the Hyde Park corner, Winnie Mandela Drive and Jan Smuts Avenue, causing delays. Please be on the lookout there and try to avoid. If you're traveling in the city of Tshwane, we've got delays on the R80 East Mabopane Highway just as you approach Eskiam Patlele Drive. I'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
The US-Israel-Iran war, the United States in 2 months has attacked 2 sovereign countries. I wonder what happens in March, then April, May. I don't want to say it, but if this war continues and it starts to involve the whole region, it's not going to stop there. It wasn't Iran that started this war. Now I hear that this war was to help the women of Iran. Sounded a lot like weapons of mass destruction a couple of years ago. I think they thought that Iran was Venezuela. This is not going to end well.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
The JBX talks at this year's Joburg Film Festival offer something truly valuable for anyone interested in the business of storytelling. Join industry leaders, creators, innovators, and storytellers as they unpack the future of film, streaming, technology, and content creation. Expect insightful panel discussions, practical masterclasses, and conversations about where the creative industry is heading, both globally and locally. Whether you're a professional, a student, or simply passionate about film, the JBX Talks provide real knowledge and real networking opportunities. So be part of the dialogue at the Joburg Film Festival. You can secure your seat today by visiting joburgfilmfestival.co.za.
How's it, Doff? How's it, Savvy? Why are you sitting in your driveway all by your lonesome, Doff?
Selling my car, Sav. I don't trust the internet. I like to wheel and deal my own wheels. That's how you make way more, Sav.
Okay, so where's your car now, Doff?
Potential buyers took it for a test drive.
When did they take it for a test drive, Doff?
3 days ago.
Should have sold it to We Buy Cars, Doff.
Yeah, Savvy.
Don't be Doff, be savvy. We Buy Cars, geared for a fast, safe sale, geared for you.
In 2021, South African Airways' new journey started. And the journey has brought us here. Over 15 aircraft added to our fleet, thousands of new flights scheduled every year, and 19 routes on our map to connect you to more of the world. We're proud of how far we've come, but we're not finished yet. We're still raising our standards in the air and on the ground. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Mzansi, Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March, with a big 102 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. Don't delay. play Powerball for an estimated 68 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 34 million rand today. You can buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
As IPID, we're not investigating the criminal aspect of what happened at Palapala. We were looking at the conduct of police officers in terms of what happened.
Okay.
The information that they would receive is related to only members of the South African police officers who were implicated.
It is possible, is it not, that some of the actions taken by police officers may actually amount to criminal conduct?
I don't think there will be limitations, not for public consumption.
Lizzie Suping.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702.
Healing Hour.
It's 24 minutes before 11 o'clock. We continue with our healing hour this morning. We're healing from secret families. A secret family for you, maybe it's when your dad maintained two separate lives, hiding the existence of one household from the other for years or even decades. Like when you maybe were the family that was being kept secret, or maybe you were the family that the secret was being kept from. How have you navigated that? How have you healed from that discovery? We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. Your WhatsApps are also coming on 072-702-1702.
Hi Clement, I have 3 beautiful brothers from this type of situation, and we have such a beautiful relationship. We love each other, we show up for each other, we constantly see each other, and maybe the people that are really, really emotionally hurt are the parents, and they are the ones that need healing. But it's great, man. We are building something, and I love it.
Borahad, Clement, Borahad. Those are some people that actually perpetuate this behavior. Those people know everything. I'm speaking from experience myself. Interesting topic, by the way. And I think most South Africans are affected by this. And it's just behaviors that we should, refrain from, I think, in my opinion. So, they leave the kids, me included, in situations that are just scary, I myself have siblings that I didn't know about. And like you said, we found out after my father passed away. So it's just unfortunate, man. Cheers. Bye-bye. California.
Hi, Clement. Good morning. Clement with me is a different story. My dad told us his story when he was about to depart. He had a son, and we were getting ready to go and meet a new brother that we never met, but unfortunately he told us that he passed on. Same experience with me, Clement. I had 3 daughters with 3 different women. So my daughters, they are like 1 year apart from each other. So like the other caller said, I make it a point that they know each other, because I was not like married to all those 3 women. But fortunately, the last one was the one that are currently living with. So the sad part of it is that the other 2 also passed on. So Clement, you need to let these people know each other, because we're going to leave this country without them knowing what's going on. Thank you, Clement.
Good morning, Clement. A very sensitive topic there. Bomakoti in the families, they are the last ones to know anything. The father side of the family always make sure that if there's anything to be hidden, they hide it. So it's either you are going to find out as umakoti during a funeral, or if an argument breaks out. So this is another level of betrayal. I have experience, I've been there, and it's kind of hard to build a relationship with the siblings just that are coming out of nowhere and being introduced as your brother, your sister. It's not easy.
Yeah, it is not. On the WhatsApp line, the message is coming through. Anonymous says, "Hi Clement, I was in a marriage like that for 2 years. My husband was already married with a family when he customarily married me, and he lived with us. We have 3 kids, and his other family also has 3 kids. He would say that he was going on work trips, but he was actually visiting the other family. I am not sure what excuse he gave them when he was away, but I found out and I dumped him, and then I filed a court case to nullify the marriage." Sure. I mean, this is so hectic. So this man, for 2 years, was able to move around the 2 families. In fact, the marriage was for 2 years, but it looks like they've dated longer than that because they also have 3 kids. But this message from Anonymous says that this man was already married when he married Anonymous. And Anonymous says, we had 3 kids together, but he also had 3 kids with the previous family. And he used to tell Anonymous and their kids that I'm going away on a work trip, but he was going to visit his other family. Like, how do you even do that? Like, doesn't that take a lot of, like, that's a lot of work. Eh? You have to lie, but also you have to probably like keep your phone secret, because should your wife check it and check the messages with your other lover, that gets so complicated. I mean, who's got capacity for that? And then you've got 6 kids divided between the 2 families. Anonymous, good on you for walking away. I mean, that's another level of betrayal. There's no transparency there. There's no care. Because you're bringing people into a situation that they never consented to. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. Another message says, "Hi Clement, you're talking about me. My dad is still married to his official wife. He has the same number of kids with both the wife and my family. And I often laugh at how this is an open secret. I have learned to live with the anomaly and decided to forgive both of them. I know my siblings, and somehow we have just carried on with life. We are okay with each other." Okay, so dad is still married to his official wife, but he's got the same number of kids with both the wife and my family. This is so hectic. This is so... I'm trying to imagine going to my grandmother's house for, let's say, an unveiling. And I arrive there and I find other kids that I know are my dad's children from the other family. And my dad is not a polygamous man. My mom has never consented and has never agreed to have the other woman. But for some reason, it's an open secret. And everybody knows. And my dad's family have accepted this new woman and the children. And we go there as well with our mother, who is still officially married to our dad, even though he's got another family. How does that work? I mean, I see if it's polygamy and it's been discussed and there's clarity. In this case, Anonymous says we've never spoken about it, but with our siblings, we laugh about it because we know. Spare a thought for the women who are currently going through this situation, who are married, who've got husbands, but those husbands are married themselves outside. Because for us as children, maybe it's much easier, right? You can get along with your siblings. It's not a big deal. But can you imagine a woman who's dedicated their life? They've committed to you. And you've gone and you've married someone else and had kids with them while you are with them, and you've got 2 households. You don't talk about it, but you know it's known, but you're unashamed. Yo.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
Some ingredients are simple until they're not. This week, the humble onion becomes the hero in the pressure cooker kitchen of MasterChef South Africa. The onion family is bold, sharp, and sweet, but also unforgiving, and it can make you cry. Expect a challenge that separates the good cooks from the great ones, because when you strip everything back, flavor has to stand on its own. MasterChef South Africa Season 6 continues this Sunday at 6 p.m. only on ETV.
Kick off to glory with Hollywood Bets and Asi Shege. Be in the game. Go full speed ahead with the epic competition. You stand to win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures online or at your nearest branch. Live life in the fast lane. Bet now for your chance to score. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
702.
Healing Hour.
All right, 12 minutes now before 11 o'clock. Let's continue with your calls and WhatsApps. Tom, you're calling us from the Val. Good morning.
Hi, how are you doing, man?
I'm okay, man.
I'm good, thanks. As well, I just want to show you something. Or sometimes, but like because of the reactions that you get on your families as well. Because I'll just make myself as an example that I'm from a royal family, and my family, because my father had me outside of the family before he was even married, he became a thing, and which at some point, even if he got married to my mother, we were not accepted and we were not even treated well. So certain things, some men keep quiet because of they know that how their kids are going to be treated. And sometimes you want to make sure that your kids are fine, because people that we now get married to, they are now materialistic, and they check what is that you have that is going to benefit them and their families in future, not actually even taking care of bana ba bona. Because now, naturally, I'm outside of that family, which I've moved out a long time ago. But one thing that I will ever tell you is that whenever they think of maybe we can come back and all that, we are always under a threat that we even now scared to go even to our extended family members on my father's side, because someone has that ulterior motives that maybe when you come in, you're going to do this and they're going to lose and all that. So it's just right for men to keep. If you have something like that and your wife is not saying, you have tried to talk to her and she's not saying yes to it, or maybe she's not acknowledging the mistake that you have done, just keep quiet, because you're just making your kids to be safe, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so to be clear, Tom, you're saying your mom and dad they got with each other before your dad got married?
Married to her, because he's a prince in the prince stage. So
But was the dad already? Did he already have a family?
No, he was not married yet.
He wasn't
married
yet. Okay.
You know, with these things of the kings and all that we want our son to get married to this kind of family because of what that they will. So these guys, they just want to enrich each others, and by always going to get to another family that is already rich and all that. So my father was not for that. She was looking for someone that she was looking for, not really that person that they wanted him to get married to.
Okay, no, I get it. Yeah, Tom in the Val, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. Anonymous on the WhatsApp line says, "Hi Clement, I just found out that my ex-partner, whom I have a son with, is married. During the course of our relationship, he lied to me. There was no sign of him being married. So currently he's not working. He has hit rock bottom. He's moved back home, can't support his child. His parents just found out about my child. So it's literally just sad how men can lie and think it's okay to ruin people's lives on the other hand." Sure, that's a message from Anonymous. I'm sorry you've gone through that, Anonymous. It's so unfair. Just be honest with someone. Let them make up their minds. If you're going to withhold such crucial information, I mean, if you're married, that's crucial. How do you build a family with someone else? Have kids, live together in the house, and you have not told them that you are married? Let them make the decision whether they want to be with you under the circumstances. But you cannot manipulate their decision. In fact, it's not even a decision because you have not disclosed, but you cannot manipulate them into doing what works for you without really figuring out if that's something that works for them. Lucky, you are in Midrand. Hi. Oh, we've just lost Lucky there. Let's try get Lucky back on the line. Let's go to WhatsApps in the meantime.
Hi, Clement. This is Donald here. Clement, I have the same situation where my father had kids with another woman, and it was a secret to my mother. But I'm glad because we found out and we were happy to know each other. And so I don't find it as something that that was devastating to either of us. And I'm only imagining where my father or my mother knew about it, and maybe they divorced with my father, then it means I would not have had a father. So I'm glad that we found out, and we are happy to be kids and children to the same father. Thank you.
Hey Clement, how are you, man? Listen, with regards to the issue that you guys are talking about family betrayal, I've got a friend of mine who's going through something very similar, and it's very heartbreaking. They themselves found out about 5 years ago that the father had children outside of the family, and obviously it was devastating to the mother. But eventually she decided to stay for the family, and I think they eventually managed to work it out. She got married, I think, a year after that, and they struggled to conceive. And for some weird reason, the husband decided to go and have a family outside. And she found out this about a month or so ago. And you can imagine how this is going for her. So very, very devastating. And I'm telling you, this the trauma that it causes is unbearable. And I think this is just something that we need to talk about.
Sure, it's so scary, man. Lucky, you are calling from Midrand. Good morning.
Hey, Clement, how are you?
I'm all right, man. What's your experience?
I'm good, man. Yeah, man. I think I just want to spice this thing up a little bit. I'm living that experience, actually.
Yeah.
So here's how it started. When you get married, things were going well financially and otherwise. So I was this man in the house. Then things started to go down in a very bad way, man. So financially, I was not working. My kids, my wife started to disrespect me in a very awful way. Even my kids started to disrespect me. So it was actually a very unbearable situation for me at that time. And now, here I met this woman. Actually, I met this woman when I was still married, but she was just there, not in this picture. So when it started to go wrong in my house, because I was not even getting my marriage rights, because things were like terrible for me, unable to provide for them, then I ended up getting involved with this woman now, the one that was out there, whom she was supporting me and really giving me what I'm supposed to, the kind of support that I expected from my wife, I was getting from this lady actually. So years went by and we ended up having a child. Then to cut the story short, when things started to go back to normal financially, then my wife came, boom, because remember, I'm still married officially, but I'm living in and out of the house. She didn't even care where I'm going when I'm leaving. I'll go out to friends for over the weekend and all that. So yeah, the story is that now I've got a child with this woman. My wife is back in this life in the marriage life of ours. My question that I will have sometimes is that now that things are well, my wife is back. Do I leave this woman who stayed with me when I was broke for two more years plus, actually? She took care of me. She was like looking after me, basically. So now that I'm okay, do I leave my wife? Do I leave this woman who showed the characteristics of a marriage partner, so to speak, very supportive, and go back to my wife who left me when I was broke? Because that's what she did, actually. Though I've got no proof, but now what I'm trying to bring to the picture is that situations like this, sometimes they do start like that, Now, I'm with my kids, I'm with this one, this side. I can't leave this woman who looked after me when I was broke,
Yeah.
So I'm with my wife also on the other hand because I'm officially married to her. So the question sometimes when you want to bring the moral part of it, yes, doesn't sound good, but if I leave this woman who supported me for 2.5 years when I was broke, isn't that going to be immoral or so? Yeah, if maybe something.
How many kids do you have with this other woman? Like
2.
2 kids, and how many kids do you have with your wife?
2.
Did you tell this new woman that you're married?
Yes, she knows.
She was okay with that?
Yes, she was okay. She knew because when I started opening up to her, I had to come clean. Things are not good in the house, blah, 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 blah,
Do you love her?
Yes, I do.
Do you love your wife?
Yes, I do.
Sure. Okay. So do you want 2 wives? Are you interested in polygamy if your wife would be open to it? Because the new woman certainly is.
I can safely say she once said that to me at some stage because she realized when things were started to be gay, I will sometimes be resentment a little bit because for me now, I don't trust her that if things goes down the same way as they did before, she will also stay. I still have that thing that if things were to go bad again, she will do what she did last time. So I'm starting the situation.
Sure. Yeah.
With this one, I know that she will be there because she proved to me. At that time, she didn't even know what I was up to. She had no hope of me getting... She was not with me for anything. My wife knows what I'm capable of, but she left me at that time. She's partly aware of the situation. She is aware that there's this child there, but she doesn't want us to talk about it. So I let it to be what it is.
Okay, Lucky. Look, man, I really don't have even advice at the moment, but I wish you the best. I think you are in such a tough, challenging situation, and I don't want to even use whatever level of morality to judge your actions. I think you know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. But just think for the people that are involved here, especially the woman who doesn't know that you have gone out to make kids with another woman because they haven't consented to that. At least with the new woman, she knows you're married. She was willing to get into it, even though she knows you're married. But your wife doesn't. And if you truly love her, maybe consider her and your kids also. It's a minute before 11.
More than 5,700 cases of cervical cancer are reported in South Africa each year. Sadly, more than 3,000 women in our country die from this disease annually. But there is hope. We have intensified the war against this deadly disease. Over the past few years, more than 3.6 million girls have benefited from the HPV vaccination program that protects them from cervical cancer. We are accelerating this program to ensure that millions more of our young girls are protected from this preventable disease. The success of this campaign depends on collaboration among all stakeholders, especially parents and caregivers who are required to give consent for their daughter to participate in the vaccination program. For more information, visit your nearest healthcare facility. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Health.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring Mahindra. Their CEO Rajesh Gupta will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
I heard she's got a recruiter team working 24/7.
That one. She has a secret supply of talent.
I knew it. She's definitely keeping a secret from us.
Nothing mysterious, guys. It's SA Youth, South Africa's largest youth online recruitment platform. Fast to post, effortless to use, and effective every time.
Recruit on the portal to potential. sayouth.co.za, powering South Africa's youth workforce.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The city of Johannesburg says it's considering demolishing a building where 8 people died in Omonde in the south of Johannesburg. Parts of the second floor deck of the structure caved in yesterday, trapping construction workers beneath the rubble. Emergency crews are searching for a third person at the site who remains unaccounted for. Mayor Dada Murero has confirmed that the city had not approved any plans for the construction to take place, meaning it was done illegally.
So the city is likely to take a decision once we have assessed the whole report that we will take steps to demolish the structure because it's in non-compliance with our bylaws.
The ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption has resumed today with evidence from Deputy National Police Commissioner or National Commissioner for Policing, Tibello Musikidi. Musikidi will be followed by another witness, Abel Mufoho, who will give evidence on the disbandment of specialized police units like the Political Killings Task Team and other systemic issues plaguing the police service. The appearances of the two witnesses follows forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan's appearance last week, where he walked out during proceedings while he was questioned. Babalondenze reports.
Lieutenant General Tebelo Musikili and Abel Mafoho will be the latest witnesses to appear as the committee chases its March 31 deadline to complete its hearings. The appearance of the two witnesses will focus on police task teams as well as the alleged unlawful dismissal of staff. Evidence leader Norman Arnser said yesterday that Musikili has already submitted her written statement. He also explained the reason for her appearance.
You may recall that attendance was required because she served as the acting national commissioner for a brief period when General Masemola was on leave, and the directive from Minister Mchunu was brought to her attention.
Acting Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection Hilda Sentumule was also meant to appear today, but had to be excused due to a family emergency. She will now appear on Friday after Paul O'Sullivan's appearance on Thursday. Babalondanza, Eyewitness News.
Tabo Bester's legal team will bring another urgent application to the Pretoria High Court this morning to have him moved from the country's only super maximum correctional facility. The convicted murderer and rapist is contesting his move to Ebongweni Supermax in Kokstad, saying it's difficult to consult with his legal team ahead of his trial. He's facing charges related to his escape from the Mangaung Correctional Facility in 2022, where he was serving a life sentence. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
Bester has repeatedly raised concerns about the conditions of his incarceration since capture in Tanzania in 2023. Last week he suffered another blow after the Free State High Court dismissed his application to have access to a laptop, among other things, claiming this was infringing his right to a fair trial. He says conditions have only worsened following his transfer to the country's only super maximum security prison, Ebongweni. This is his second bid to be brought back to Gauteng. Last month, the Pretoria High Court Court struck the matter off the roll after finding that his legal team did not afford correctional services sufficient time to respond to their papers. Bester's lawyers are expected to argue that consultation has become increasingly difficult, with him kept at Ebongweni, and want him returned to Kgosimampuru or any facility in Gauteng. Dimakatsole Shoro, Eyewitness News.
And Women's Legal Centre is in the Western Cape High Court today to challenge a law they say silences victims of sexual violence. Lawyers are taking aim at two sections of the Criminal Procedure Act that makes it a crime to identify a person accused of sexual offence before they plead. The challenge follows criminal charges laid against gender activist Caroline Peters, who identified an accused rapist on social media after a court appearance in Wynberg. Carlo Peterson reports.
Under current law, identifying a person accused of a sexual offence could mean a fine or up to 3 years in prison. This is a restriction the Women's Legal Centre argues protects alleged perpetrators while silencing victims and those supporting them. Lawyer for the WLC, Branwyn Pathi, says they will challenge two sections of the Criminal Procedure Act.
The first section that we are challenging, we believe unjustifiably prohibits the publication of the identity of an accused person who is charged with a sexual offence before that accused person has pleaded.
The centre says the law violates freedom of expression and believes naming accused persons before plea could help additional victims come forward. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $5,365.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.11 to the dollar, 21.57 to the pound, 18.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $79.45 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M1 South. This is just as you approach Kohler Drive. An accident has been reported there. Delays coming out of Grayston Drive. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N3 North. That's between the Geldenhuys interchange and the Gululis interchange, also due to an accident.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The city of Johannesburg says it's considering demolishing a building where 8 people died in Omonde in the south of Johannesburg.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. And just want to thank you for your calls and your WhatsApps on the Healing Hour. I always appreciate that because I know how triggering some of our conversations can be. But thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. I think you always make other listeners who may not be brave enough to call or who don't want to call in for whatever reason to know that they're not alone, or what they're facing, they're not the only ones facing it. And sometimes when you share how you've dealt with something, that encourages the next person to know how to deal with it. I just want to wrap it all up with these 2 WhatsApp voice notes that came through, and then we'll move to our World of Work feature.
Hi, Clement, the team, and my fellow listeners. I'll be anonymous today. You know, with me, my dad had a kid. So, you know, the funny thing is, before my mom found out, I was actually sending money home every month when I get paid, you know, trying to improve at home. Only to find out my dad was using that money and his money to support the other kid, because he always tell my mom that he had traffic fines and every time he had traffic fines, until the other day I gave my dad some money. I came home after a week. There was no food. There was nothing. So like that's when we started like, you know, suspecting that there's something going on until my mom found out because he wrote all the information behind the calendar when the baby was born and.
Good morning, Clement. I've got a funny one for you. So growing up, there were these two kids that lived in my neighborhood. They were brothers. The youngest of the two had similar features like me. The way he spoke, the resemblance was stunning. And I never paid attention to it until one day when my father was sick and I went to the hospital. You know, it was a usual hospital visit. I walk in there are the two kids sitting, and immediately something is wrong here. And then my father looked down, I could see his face, and then he introduced to me and he said, "These are your two brothers." I said, "But I've known these kids for years. They've grown in front of me. I know these kids." And yeah, a week later, my father passed away, and the relationship with the kids, we are best of brothers. They say I was a gift to them. They treat me like I'm their father. We have a beautiful relationship. But yeah, and it turned out that out of those two, there were other three kids. So my father fathered 5 kids that I didn't know of. Walter from Cape Town.
Jeez, Walter, thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, Winzim. It's now time for our World of Work feature.
702.
World of Work.
So today on our World of Work feature, we're discussing how to handle people who take credit for our work. How do you handle situations like that? Because something tells me you have probably been in a situation like that. Huh? How do you deal with people who take credit for your work? You are the one that stays late. You are the one that meets the deadlines. You pitch the ideas. You carry the project. And then sometimes, boom, in the meeting, someone also presents it. And suddenly it sounds like it was theirs all along. It's one of the most frustrating and demoralizing experiences in the workplace when someone takes credit for work that isn't theirs. Whether it's subtle, like conveniently just forgetting to mention your contribution, maybe it's blatant, like presenting your idea as their own, like they take the credit. That can erode trust, it can damage morale, it can quietly derail careers. And the truth is, many professionals, especially young employees, women and junior staff, are the ones who often struggle with how to respond. Like, do you confront the person who's taking credit for your work? Do you escalate it? Do you stay quiet to keep the peace? And what happens when the person taking credit is your boss? Because that makes it more complicated, doesn't it? And in competitive work environments where promotions, bonuses, and recognition matter, visibility is currency. And I would like to know from you this morning how you protect your work without being labeled difficult. Like, how do leaders create cultures even where contribution is acknowledged fairly? And what does it say about workplace culture when this behavior becomes normalized? Share your experiences with us, please, on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-7021-702. Boniwe Dancer is an HR specialist who's going to guide us through this conversation. She's in studio with us. Boniwe, great to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to the 702 listeners.
Oh, this is quite common in the workplace, eh? How common really is it for people to take credit for people's work in the workplace from your experience?
It's very common, especially in organizations and culture whereby high performance is the core, whereby people are compared, like, they do a peer comparison when they do performance management. Are you delivering the same? Is somebody who's in the same level as you doing better than you? And then in that regard, then people always want to advance their own career progression through taking other people's work. And in a space whereby managers also do it, it becomes difficult to address. Therefore, they perpetuate or tolerate bad behavior as an organization. So an organizational culture that thrives on on competition between peers, that thrives on high performance, that thrives on visibility, like you alluded earlier, you actually find a lot of that. A typical sector or, spaces where you'd find that a lot in management consulting, right? Because it's about, the feedback that you get from your client, the seniority of your clients. So the more that you get recognition from senior people, the more people actually want to always make sure that their work is visible. I've witnessed an instance whereby a colleague had delivered on a piece of work, and after the client responded to thank them and said, no, please retrieve that and copy my manager and her boss in the email, Not that there's anything wrong, but because of the culture of competitiveness and the culture of visibility. So it's very common. If your increase and your performance bonus is dependent on that rating, people are likely to steal other people's work.
It's so tricky, though, if it's the manager who does that, because, on the one hand, you're thinking, the manager is the one that sort of, they take the blame. If the proverbial ish hits the fan, then they must also take the credit if the team has done an amazing work.
Yes.
But what stops the manager themselves from saying, Uponiwe actually came up with this idea, which we then developed as a team.
Sure.
So how tricky does it become then if it's your manager that consistently you come up with these, you're always showing up, but she's never giving you credit when she's meeting with the executives?
So if your manager is, is threatened by you as a team member who does well, if probably you have been identified as a successor or somebody that is, identified to get a promotion and they are threatened by your capabilities, chances of them having to talk about your contributions are very less. If your manager's, position within the company is, it's hanging by a thread, right? Maybe they themselves are on a verge, of exiting the company due to poor results, right? They will always take the group's work and portray it for themselves so that they can be able to self, preserve themselves. So that's what happens. And also, like I said, if the culture on its own tolerates and perpetuates that, the manager will not see anything wrong. If the culture is not that of accountability, it's easier for people to get away with that. If leaders within the same organizations do the same and the junior staff, they observe that in meetings, right, on how they get promoted themselves, it's easier for that to perpetuate, and it becomes very difficult for one to actually get to address it, purely because they say, if my manager does it and my boss's boss does it as well, what are my chances if I go to report it either to HR, to my boss herself or himself, or to their senior? So culture plays a very intricate and important role in such behavior. If we allow it, it will continue. If we are able to address it, maturely, then we are able to resolve it. And if leaders are able to give recognition where it's due, then individuals will always start, recognizing their peers, recognizing their fellow team members as well. I think it starts with the managers. What kind of a leader are you? What does the team effort mean to you and to them? Because you can say collectively we have delivered on this, but I need to single out this particular person that has went over and above and came up with this particular brilliant idea that has actually landed us in a particular space.
Because sometimes there are team members within a team, there are team members who have gone above and beyond, or who came up with something that really was a catalyst for whatever we were working for. And if you mention them, I'm sure it encourages others to also think, oh, when I come up with a great idea, I need to put it up there because you see what happens. How do you then raise it? Because, I don't know, do you email the HR manager? Do you email the big boss and say, my manager didn't really give me credit? Or how do you deal with it in the workplace?
It's actually quite difficult. You also need to understand the lay of the land and the complexity and the culture of your environment to understand the right way to go about it. I wouldn't say HR would be your first starting point. Like any other issue, you would want to resolve it with the person who has either stolen your work or took credit for the work that you have delivered, to say, hi, Clement, I saw in that presentation you didn't give me recognition, but it was a team effort. Is there any reason that you did not mention my name? Because probably it's conscious or subconscious, we don't know. Then you can get the explanation from Clement. And if it's something that's understandable, then you can say, can we make sure that next time it doesn't happen? But if it's not understandable and you have seen this behavior pattern before, then you'd rather say to the person, next time when we do a presentation, I'd prefer that we both deliver on it instead of just putting the work together, but one person doing it. And just say, I need my name to go on that as well. And if you see that the person is not changing behavior, then loop in your line manager to say, I have actually contributed so much to certain projects, but my work goes unnoticed. I'd like to uplift my contribution so that I can also get the right, recognition as well. That's the first one. The second one would be for you to start communicating the work that you do, to the right people. So instead of me sharing my work only to Clement, I can share it to Clement and all the other people that are involved in the project instead of sending it to you alone, because then, it's hidden. If it needs at any point for you to send it to Clement and to the manager, then copy the manager as well, for visibility, or just say, you know what, I'm just looping in the manager so that we can get feedback in terms of what is their guidance on this, so that they can see. So it's also important for you to keep track and communicate what you are doing, because people don't have the same interest in the team. So you just need to make sure that your efforts go recognized by making your work visible to the right people, to the right decision makers, and also for the right intentions.
Is it fine for me to sit on my desk and wait for the big boss to walk to the bathroom or the kitchen and then just walk in and say, oh, I thought of this idea, but I'll take it through, Bonnie, we will see how we develop it.
Sure.
But I think this would be great. You're almost like planting seeds.
Planting seed. I think sneaking up like that might not be appropriate.
Yeah.
But what I normally say is that when you have an opportunity to actually engage about the work that's been done in your department or a project that you are involved in, it's important to also talk about your contributions, talk how you added value in that. Do not isolate yourself from the work that has been done. If they said, we've actually landed this pitch and it's going to be great, and you can say, yes, I'm glad that I was actually part of the project because this and this actually was done by me. This particular, set of data was actually analyzed by me and I derived it from this kind of study, and hence we were able to show the comparison between us and the competitor in the market, something to that effect. So don't shy away from having to talk about your contributions. A lot of times, and it's psychological, we are taught to be modest, right? There's no need to brag. You can't blow your own horn. We even have phrases to that effect, right? But to what detriment? So you need to be strategic about it. Talk about your work to the right people. When your work is being spoken about and it's not, tagged with your name, use the opportunity to lift up your name, to say, oh yes, but in that I was also part of it, right? Don't shy away and say, I'll address it, some other time, because, it will move, the boat will move. Probably certain promotion decisions will be made after that meeting. And if you don't use the opportunity to also say, but I was also part of it, then you miss that. So it's important for you to understand your contributions fully and know when to actually then, address the matter as well.
Okay. 011-883-0702. How have you handled it? How are you handling it right now, if that's what you are going through in your workplace? So it's something you're witnessing amongst your employees. How do you handle people who take credit for your work? Have you ever raised it with management? Because sometimes it's people who take credit, but when they are, and they know exactly that your level of involvement, and when there's an opportunity for even promotions or bonuses, you are simply just forgotten. And yet you have seen the kind of contribution you've added to the project. How do you also protect your work without being labeled difficult? Share your thoughts with us on 011-883-0702. Your WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Bonnie, I'll ask you to put on your headphones as we are about to play some voice notes.
Clement, how does this actually work? Because I'm just thinking now, if you are a manager or a head of department, right, and you are being tasked with a task to maybe bring in clients, and you are also given a team to lead, right? That means I work under you as my boss, right? And then I go out, I find 2 big clients. Isn't that my job? Yes, the bosses will ask my boss, the let's say the MDs, the big guys will ask my boss, well, what have you done? What have you and your team done? And he will say, no, we were able to bring in these big 2 fishes, you know what I mean? Or I was able to do it with my team, which is the truth, right? Isn't that how it works usually? The whole point of an head of department is for him to lead a department. We must work, he must take, as much as he gets into trouble tomorrow, and we don't deliver, he's going to go sit alone with the MDs, right, with the shareholders, and answer as to why we're not bringing in what we are getting paid for. So how does it work, Clement?
Yeah, it's what we spoke about earlier, Boniwe, that, I mean, the buck stops with you as the manager, so why must the credit also stop with you?
I think it's important to understand the role of a line manager, right? As a line manager, you deliver through people. That's that. And you delivering through people, it means that you also need to manage performance. And what that means is that if you have people within your team that are not performing, then you need to actually provide them with the right resources and support for them to perform. And when people are also performing well, you also need to go and actually then, recognize their efforts. You also need to give guidance. So when you deliver through people and people do exceptionally well, it's actually a reflection of your management or of your leadership style. When your entire team is not performing well and they are struggling to pull in their weight in totality, then it means we also need to zone on how you are performing as a manager. So it is important for us to distinguish between a team and also a manager. Yes, a manager might have to take credit in certain instances to say this particular department has done exceptionally well, therefore leader X has been, given an award for leader of the year. But what leader of the year talks to your credibility, it talks to your ability to manage people, to manage performance, to hold people, accountable, and also deliver through them, because we're not, delivering as individuals. So they will take credit when things are going well, but they will also take the slack when they're not doing well. So when a manager takes credit, they also need to say, this is what I've been able to deliver through my team, because they didn't do it individually. You can't have a team of 10 sales advisors and say, I have done this. Those sales advisors are working according to your guidance, according to your management expertise, according to, to your leadership style. And the results are a reflection of that. So we also need to distinguish that. And also, if you take the whole credit and don't give it to your team, the team will be despondent. What's the point of me having to deliver so much every week or every month? But when I exceed my targets, I don't even get recognition, or my efforts don't get recognized. I might as well give you the bare minimum.
True.
Good morning, Manimeja. Manimeja, here it is in English. Manimeja, I worked with a boss. I had a boss who left last year. Our boss used to take our work credit and give it to herself, especially when she was with the CEO. She would almost like 90% of our credit, she would take it and tell the CEO that it was her. We worked with a kid, and she would also even take our work and give it to the kid. But she would speak well of us to managers that were at her level. But to the CEO, it's either her or her kid. So we know this type of things, man. So she since left last year. And one thing that we have saw is that we should never, ever do that to any of them.
Clement, at my former employment's office, most of the secretary or logistical support people actually did the assignments for the management team that were getting their degrees, their masters, their doctorates. And guess what? Sometimes they even did the online assessments on behalf of those same people, whilst the company were paying for these things. But yet these girls just were told to shut up and to do the necessary, otherwise they would never get promotion or they would be worked out of the company. So that's the extent of which the rot goes in corporate South Africa.
Hi Clement, I once worked at a restaurant in my earlier years, and I actually called the manager and told him that I suggest that we put a wine cellar at this other corner that looked down. And as I was suggesting that, the owner came through, and the manager, without iota of shame, with no bucket of shame, he said, I think we should put a wine cellar here, talking to the owner of the shop. And the owner of the shop was like, that's a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea. You have actually come up with a very, very brilliant idea. Even now, when I visit that restaurant, I see that wine cellar is there, and I suggested it, and I wasn't recognized, and the general manager did not even mention that I'm the one who came up with the suggestion. So, hey, it does happen. But anyway, what can we do? Sometimes you'll be too low on the food chain that you cannot say anything. Once you say anything, you know that you will be fired.
Yeah, sure. But anyway, your last words of advice to our listeners who are thinking, I'm in this situation, and because at some point it impacts on trust, on productivity, what do you advise them to do?
Sure, yeah. I think it's important for us to be able to own our own work. And like I said, don't share your work in private, and make sure that you include the relevant people that are decision makers to the work that you are doing. And that is a way of actually having to safeguard your work. Also make sure that you actually record your work similarly like you would with any project. There's a project plan, what are the steps and what are the phases. Make sure you document that so that you're able to talk about your work, and do not forget anything when it's that time of performance reviews and so forth. But also what's important based on the second caller is to also know that the organizational culture again comes into the fore, where they would have PAs doing people's assignments. So make sure that you understand your worth, you communicate your work, you actually make sure that you communicate to the right people. If there's anything, please address it with the individual. If not, look for a mentor or a coach within your space that can guide you on how to navigate that complexity. But never allow your work to be taken, because you might miss promotion opportunities that will advance your career because you actually are scared of having to speak up.
Yeah. Bonnie Dunster, HR specialist, thank you so much for guiding us through this chat.
Thank you.
11:31, time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Mbali, I see the death toll from this building collapse has now risen.
That's correct, Clement. A very good morning. It is the news just in at this hour. The death toll following a building collapse in Omonde in the south of Joburg has risen to 9. Search and rescue teams have now located the third and final body of a missing construction worker. This morning, the bodies of 2 workers that were trapped under the rubble were also recovered. Parts of the second floor deck of the structure caved in yesterday, trapping construction workers beneath the concrete material. We shift our focus to this now. Tabo Bester's legal team will be bringing another urgent application to the Pretoria High Court this morning. They want to have him moved from the country's only super maximum correctional facility. The convicted murderer and rapist is contesting his move to Ebongweni Supermax in Kokstad, saying it's difficult to consult his legal team ahead of his trial. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, we've got delays on the N3 North. This is between Van Buren Road and the Baku interchange, the Kilulis interchange rather. That's due to an accident along this route. There's also queuing traffic on the M1 South, a stop and go between Grayston Drive and the Kilani Bends due to an earlier accident. While travelling in the city of Tshwane, do expect delays along the R80 East approaching Eskiampahlele Drive. I'll have more traffic updates coming up at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Mzansi, Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March, with a big 102 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. So don't delay. Play Powerball for an estimated 68 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 34 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Imagine a holiday where the only thing on the to-do list is to enjoy yourself. With NCL, world-class dining, award-winning entertainment and a variety of onboard experiences come as standard. So enjoying yourself is easy breezy. We sail to over 400 destinations worldwide, including Europe, the Caribbean and beyond. Your dream cruise is calling. Visit ncl.com for the best deals or contact your travel agent today. Conditions apply. Norwegian Cruise Line. It's different out here.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy, but day by day, somehow it grew. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
702.
Health and wellness.
It's 25 minutes now before 12 o'clock, which means it's time for our health and wellness feature. And today we're discussing lymph nodes. We have all experienced it at some point. You are washing your face or whatever you're doing, maybe applying lotion or maybe just resting your hand on your neck and then you feel it, the small lump that's slightly tender, maybe painless, and suddenly your mind just starts racing. Is it just flu that you're dealing with? Are you dealing with something more serious? You start asking yourself questions. How long has this been here? But these are like lymph nodes are something that most of us don't even think about, right? Until they demand our attention. And yet these tiny bean-shaped glands are working quietly behind the scenes every single day, acting as security checkpoints for our bodies, right? They filter infection. We're often told that they also trap bacteria and viruses and help our immune system respond when we're under attack. But when they swell, especially if they don't go down, it can really be deeply unsettling. So we've invited someone who can explain to us how we should deal and navigate lymph nodes and at what point also you should be more concerned. Dr. Debbie Smith is a registered homeopath and acupuncturist who's joining us now via Zoom. Dr. Smith, thank you so much for making time. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with just explaining to us what these lymph nodes are and what role they actually play in the body.
So lymph nodes are small immune filtering stations distributed throughout your body. And their job is to trap viruses, bacteria, abnormal cells, and coordinate an immune response. And when they swell, it's usually a sign they are active, not broken.
Oh, okay, I see. So do they only swell when we're sick, or they could swell even when there's nothing wrong with you?
So because of how their job works, they're filtering out things in our body. So usually when they swell, it will be if we've got an acute infection because there's suddenly a backlog of something your body needs to get rid of. So most of the time, it's an acute response to something your body goes through. But sometimes if the lymph node stays there, it can show there's maybe something deeper underlying why the lymph node is not going smaller again.
Is it normal to feel them, on your neck or elsewhere?
So lymph is throughout your body, but in your system, there's concentrated lymph nodes, specifically under the arms, in your neck, and in your groin.
Okay.
So let's say you now have a sore throat. That's right by your neck. So when you have a cold or flu, your lymph node is going to swell in your neck because it's busy dealing with the infection that's going on in that area. So that's why we might feel it more in our neck when we've got a sore throat or upper respiratory tract infection. So if you cut your toe, your lymph nodes in your groin might swell because that's the closest cluster of big lymph nodes that's there.
I see. So sometimes, Dr. Smith, people panic when they find a lump. So how should our listeners tell the difference between something harmless and something that's a little more serious that requires attention?
So we want to look at the timeline when the lump started. So if it was in a time of a recent infection or a stress load, or let's say someone's maybe not eating well, so the nutritional status is affected, it could be linked to that. But when you've got other symptoms that combine with the lymph node that's not going away, this is when we might look at, is there weight loss? Is there night sweats? The size of it, is it fixed or can it move? And once those things where it stays there, you've got other symptoms going on with it, then you want to investigate what is the reason for the lymph node to stay there.
Okay. How long is too long for a swollen lymph node?
So again, it depends on the person. For children, their lymph nodes might be more reactive. It comes and it goes quicker. But if you've got, it's not just the lymph node, it's the other symptoms with that. So if you've got other symptoms that's not healthy, then you want to investigate it. It's not something that you just want to leave. But let's say you've got a sore throat, you've got that lymph node that's swollen there, then you wait until your sore throat is gone, and then you see what happens with the lymph node.
Mm-hmm. I want to also us to take an opportunity to take some questions from our listeners. So if you've got any question for Dr. Smith around lymph nodes, send us a message. You can do so on WhatsApp on 072-702-1702 or give us a call on 011-883-0702. Dr. Smith, when do doctors then start considering lymphoma or other cancers?
They would look at the associated symptoms that goes with it. For example, fatigue. That would be a clue. Weight loss, unexplained weight loss, the night sweats. And then they might first run a battery of tests to see what's the inflammation in the body, like a full blood count, a CRP. That shows what the state of the body is. So it's one of, because your lymph system, the way it works, it gives you clues to something else that goes on in the body. That's when doctors then say, should we investigate it further, which might even sometimes be a biopsy to know exactly what we're dealing with.
Sure. But is it true that cancerous lymph nodes are usually painless?
It's true for most people, and they tend to be fixed. But what I want to say is, if a person's got a lymph node and they're unsure about it, clarity gives calm. So it's better to go investigate it and find out what it is. Blood test, ultrasound in the beginning, which is more non-invasive, to understand where the lymph node is coming from. Then one can treat more specific. It's a sign, something else we have to look deeper. Why is the lymph node there?
Yeah. Okay, I've got some questions coming through from listeners on the WhatsApp line. Let's start with Kuliso, who's asking, Clement, please ask the doctor there, when do you know if the lymph nodes are malfunctioning in the feet? My feet have been swollen without explanation.
So those clusters that I spoke about, mainly concentrated neck, under the arm and groin. There is some in your feet, but it's less common that the lymph nodes swell in your feet. We'll look at other things for feet swelling. Is it water retention? Is it poor circulation? Is it hypertension? What's causing the swelling in the legs? So your lymph nodes can swell in your legs, but it's less common. And usually, if your lymph nodes swell in your legs, it'd be maybe just the one side. As I mentioned earlier, if you cut your foot underneath, now your body's got to deal with this infection going on, then the one side would swell. But if it's both sides, it's potentially something else. Then it's better to investigate what the reason is.
Mm-hmm. Another message here on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, a stressed lymphatic system often affects the lymph nodes. What are the signs or symptoms to look out for? How does one overcome them?
How does one overcome when you've got a stressed lymphatic system?
Yes, and what are the symptoms to sort of look out for?
So for me, if I understand the question correct, a stressed lymphatic system would mean your body's taking strain with something in your system. It's again to understand what that thing is that's causing the problem. Is it viral? Is it bacterial? Because you want to treat the root cause, what's causing the lymphs to be under stress. So for each person, it's not a cookie cutter. For each person, it's a different way that it would be managed.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's 011-883-0702. I've got some calls on WhatsApps that I'll get to after the break. It's 15 minutes now before 12 o'clock. We're talking about lymph nodes on our health and wellness feature this morning. Do you have any questions? You can share your experiences with us if this is something you've had to deal with.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
The U.S.-Israel-Iran war, the United States in 2 months has attacked 2 sovereign countries. I wonder what happens in March, then April, May. I don't want to say it, but if this war continues and it starts to involve the whole region, it's not going to stop there. It wasn't Iran that started this war. Now I hear that this war was to help the women of Iran. Sounded a lot like weapons of mass destruction a couple of years ago. I think they thought that Iran was Venezuela. This is not going to end well.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Whether you love watching great films or dream of making them, the Joburg Film Festival, in partnership with MultiChoice Group, a Canal Plus company, from the 3rd to the 8th of March has something for you. Experience powerful local and international cinema on the big screen and tap into the JBX Talks, where the people shaping film unpack the craft, the business, and the future of storytelling. It's more than a festival, it's a front row seat to the film world. Book your tickets now at joburgfilmfestival.co.za.
Gear up for glorious Grand Slam success with Hollywood Bets. Take your tennis passion to new heights and feel every stroke, rally and match point as the drama unfolds at the Australian Open, Roland Garros, Wimbledon and US Open. The biggest stages in tennis have been set as the world's best go head-to-head for ultimate bragging rights. Bet now and make every moment count. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
This year is the year. I'll be catching flights and not feelings. Serving looks Monday to Sunday. 5 a.m. club. Small things. I'll be awake before a Hadida can even say, This year things are gonna change.
Okay, so what would you like to order then?
Just hit me with the usual. Kota chicken, single chips and a roll.
Oh, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Get the Nando's flame grilled quarter chicken, single chips and roll for only 82 Rand. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Switching to Outsurance Business Insurance was a quick process. I saved a lot of money.
Outsurance Business Insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For boutique hotels, catering companies, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
I heard her interviews run smoother because she somehow finds the right people the first time around.
Yeah, it's like she already knows who fits where before they even sit down.
She must have gone for special training, like some Sixth Sense HR certificate.
No, guys, it's SA Youth, the largest youth online recruitment platform. It's fast to post, effortless to use, and effective every time.
Recruit on the portal to potential. sayouth.co.za. Powering South Africa's youth workforce.
702.
Health and wellness.
12 minutes before 12 o'clock, I want to give you an opportunity to ask Dr. Debbie Smith some questions about lymph nodes, if you have any. Let's start with your WhatsApps.
Clement, also just want to find out, I've got some lymphs also on my neck, just one, and I've always had it as a child. And then I've noticed that also my kids also have it. It's not painful, it's just very tiny and it's not visible, but you can feel it when you touch the neck. What would that be?
Okay. Is that possible, Dr. Smith, for it to be there for that long?
It's actually very common to have one small mobile lymph node. So mobile meaning you can move it slightly around in your neck. that has been there since childhood. If it hasn't changed in size, it isn't hard or fixed, and you feel well otherwise, it's usually just a reactive node that becomes slightly enlarged during past infections and never fully shrank back.
Mm-hmm. And someone is asking about when it's infection related, how do you then treat it?
So it depends, because infection could be viral or it could be bacterial as well. It could be even from a dental problem. So again, you look at what is the reason the lymph is swollen, so that you treat it appropriately, because your lymph nodes, it's got such an important job where it's not just the viruses that it needs to take out. It needs to help with infection, with bacteria. And once we know why it's there, then you treat it. If you treat, for example, the bacterial infection, now you take less strain on the lymph system, then the lymph system can then get rid of whatever is in your system easier. And then indirectly, you're treating the lymph system by treating the root cause.
Okay. Another question on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, please ask the doctor, when I go for HIV tests, doctors always want to check my lymph nodes on my neck. Why is that the case?
So because part of your immune system is connected to when you have HIV. So the immune cells go and live inside the lymph nodes. So enlarged nodes can sometimes be part of an early sign of infection. That's why it's routinely checked.
Another one, please ask your guest there if lymph nodes are related, can be related to tonsils.
Yes, because when you've got tonsils, it's part of your lymphatic system. So they specialize lymph tissue at the back of your throat that helps to trap the germs entering through your mouth and your nose. So they work closely with nearby lymph nodes in the neck as part of the same immune network.
And then Dieter says, Clement, I've got questions for lymph nodes sections. I never noticed odd lymph nodes, but I have lymphedema in my legs and they both retain fluid. How is this linked?
So part of your system of how fluid works in the body is when the pressure between your arteries, your valve, and your lymph is a certain amount. So when the lymph fluid doesn't drain properly, it can cause persistent swelling. Usually that's in one limb. So normal fluid retention can happen for other reasons. For example, heat, hormones, or prolonged standing. And usually that improves with rest or elevation. So lymphedema is a specific condition where lymph fluid doesn't drain properly.
There's a question about children here and how they get affected. Do children get swollen lymph nodes more often than adults? And are there any warning signs that are different in kids?
So generally, if you look at children, their immune systems are still being developed and they're constantly exposed to new viruses. So for children, they get generally more the lymphatic system affected because they're getting more sick often. If you just think of the average child going to school, getting exposed to all these viruses, how often they get sick. That's why they seem to get it more, but it's also because they get sick more often. The immune systems are still working to become stronger as they're getting older.
And what tests are typically done to investigate persistent lymph node swelling?
This would again relate to what the person's symptoms are. Because if you think again, the job of the lymph system, what it does, we're asking the question, are we dealing with a virus? Is it bacterial? Is it the immune system that's more affected? So a lot of the times, the most general test that's done first is a full blood count. So that will show you your infection markers. So that will give you a little bit of a clue. How is your immune system working at the moment? And then you might want to do other tests, inflammatory markers, like CRP, for example, that and ESR, that gives you a bigger sense is the inflammation that we're dealing with the body.
Mm-hmm. And someone else is asking about when a biopsy is necessary. I know you touched a little bit earlier on, sometimes the cancerous lymph nodes, but at what point must someone take it very seriously and maybe consider a biopsy?
So when the lymph node is persistent beyond several weeks, it's changing and becoming larger in size. Usually when it's painless and firm, so there's no pain, then that will make us say, hey, maybe we need to investigate a little bit further what's going on.
And just generally for people who maybe they've not had issues with that, or they have before in the past, should we be regularly checking ourselves for swollen lymph nodes?
I think it's one of those things that's not necessary, but it's good to be aware of your body, but how your lymph feels in general, especially in your neck. And if you notice a new lump that doesn't settle within a few weeks or it's growing, then you should have it assessed.
And then for someone who may be listening, Dr. Smith, and they have had a lump, let's say, for a few weeks now, but they're scared to even go consult the doctor, what advice do you have for them?
I think once you have more clarity what you're dealing with, then it eases anxiety, because once you know what the lymph node is about, then you can do something about it. So if you're concerned about it, it's always better just to have it examined and investigated, so that if there's something perhaps there, you want to treat it sooner than later if need be. So I want the listeners to know, if you pick up something in your body that wasn't there before, of course you're going to be a little bit stressed and anxious about it. But if you feel there's more clarity that you need, go investigate it. And then you get the answer, and then you can deal with whatever that answer is.
Yeah, at least then we know what we're dealing with. Just lastly, there's a question about how to do lymph node drainage. Someone is asking, Puleng in the Valley is asking that question. How do you go about doing that? Is that something you do with a doctor?
So there's a few different ways you can do it. Your lymphatic system moves with your muscle activity and breathing. So the basics are simple: gentle movement like walking, deep diaphragmatic breathing, and avoiding long sitting help support normal lymph flow. If you want more a specialized drainage, you can go to a specialist where it's a very gentle massage, but it's working on where the lymph moves in your body and how it's distributed, where they will then help to drain it for you so that it can ease off if there's lymphatic, let's call it congestion for a better word.
Dr. Debbie Smith, thank you. You've been great at helping us understand the lymph nodes and how we must deal with them and at what point we should be concerned about them. Thank you so much. She's a registered homeopath. It's 2 minutes now before 12.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Good morning, Mandy.
Good morning, Clement Manyathela.
What's popping vandag?
So the president has just unveiled these two big statues in Durban North Beach today.
Of who?
Of Nelson Mandela and Tambo.
We have enough statues of Nelson Mandela, guys. Come on, we need to move on.
They cost 22 million rand.
Really? And I bet you they actually cost 5. Go figure where the other 15 million went to.
Well, yes. We're also going to explain how donor funds were looted from the health department while we're on the theme. But we're opening the show. We're going to speak to the Joburg's new deputy mayor, Loyiso Masuku, today. The death toll in the Omondi building collapse has risen to 9. Tabo Bester wants to be moved from the Ebongweni Supermax prison, and the DA is announcing more steps on the Joburg water crisis today.
Okay, that's what's coming up on the Midday Report with Mandy Win. What are you going to ask the listeners today? I wonder
About
if they.
the statues,
Yeah,
I
I wonder
is-
because guys, don't we have enough statues of Nelson
do you ever
Mandela?
go to Sandton Square
No,
to go take a
but
picture? My
no.
kids took a
I've
picture
been
with
there
that Nelson
before, a long
Mandela
time
statue
ago,
last week.
which I like.
Yeah.
It looks really dope in the middle of Nelson Mandela Square. But how many more statues of this man do we need?
Well, I think what they're saying, I'm not defending them. What they're saying is that there aren't any in Durban.
There
and they want
aren't
to
any?
attract
Oh, in
tourists.
Durban.
And they want to attract tourists to Durban North Beach.
Okay, fine. That will fly for now.
Just saying what they said.
I'm looking forward to hearing what your listeners will say on the show. That's what's coming up on the Midday Report with Menuina. Thank you for listening to the show. We're back again tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friend. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon. I'm Bali Dlamini. We begin with news just in. The death toll following a building collapse in Omonde, south of Johannesburg, has risen to 9. Search and rescue teams have now located the third and final body of a missing construction worker. This morning, the bodies of 2 workers that were trapped under the search and rescue teams have now located the third and final body of